is truth in journalism, where brave men and women gave voice to the voiceless. But then the corporations bought the journalist, poisoning the news that we are fed. With those tainted sources, all we ever ate was a steady diet of status quo. This hijacked narrative is the truth of mass suffering, injustice and corruption throughout our land. Status quo, status quo, status quo, status quo. To expose this shift to oligarchy came a band of honest journalists. They left the studio and hit the streets to give the microphone back to the people. From sea to sea, the people were empowered to share their truth. Their voices no longer stifled, reclaimed their power. Join the media revolution now.
Hey there, Jordan Sheridan live, Sunday, January 26, 2020. We are T-minus 8 days away from the Iowa Caucus. And boy, the Iowa Caucus were held today. If you're an objective person, I think Bernie Sanders would win. Up until now, I've said I think it's kind of a coin toss between Bernie and maybe Pete. We'll get to Pete a little bit later. But momentum is real in life and in politics. And Bernie Sanders is pressing every right button. And as such, oh boy, is the establishment coming after him. And if you've been watching me last week or two, I've been telling you, all of a sudden you're going to start to see like old video clips resurfacing. You know, the phrase will be, new video has been unearthed. New video has been unearthed of Bernie Sanders. And really what that means is stuff that Hillary Clinton's campaign had, that it passed off to Joe Biden's campaign, maybe Elizabeth Warren's campaign, maybe Pete Buttigieg's campaign. And just now, Biden, Warren, Pete, maybe Klobuchar, all of them are unleashing this opposition research on willful reporters to pass it off. So we will get into some of the attacks that are coming after Bernie. Some of them are complete nonsense, and some of them, there's some validity, and he deserves a criticism of. So, you know, I'm a Bernie guy, but I'll criticize him when warranted. So we'll get to all of it. We already got 300 people watching, and I just started. So this is awesome, awesome, awesome. For the 300 folks watching, if I could kindly ask you, do your civic duty as a member of the Coup. Press that like button. It's the thumbs up button right under the video. The more people that press the like button, the more people that will see this live stream. Really appreciate it. We got 300 watching, 140 people have watched it. So we have liked. So we need 150 of you to press that like button. And Sarah, I agree. I should go on Rogan. Start the campaign. I would gladly go on Joe Rogan. Thank you, Lawrence Johnson, getting us started. $5. Keep it up in the super chat. This is a super chat. Remember, we go live on Sundays. I've been going live on Sundays for over a year. Trust me, my girlfriend would love if I was spending Sunday with her. But we spend Sunday with you to inform, entertain, and fight the oligarchy. So, also, join our text list. We're sending out a text message for this live stream. If you got it already, it's because you're on our text list. So, get on our list. It helps get around the YouTube suppression. YouTube is not notifying most of the time when we're live. So when you join our text list, all you got to do, text 474747, enter COUP. COUP. We're at 550 people on our text list, but we got to get that way up. And it doesn't cost you anything. So go to the text icon, text 474747, and enter in Coup. Follow us at Status Coup on the Twitter. We're live there as well. And follow us on Twitch. We're live there also. Twitch.tv/Status Coup. And finally, an email is going out too. Jen's balancing emails and texts and all these things. Join our email list. That's another great way we could grow as a company. So, one last thing. Besides this being a super chat, we, like Bernie, we have a little bit of momentum here. So, as you watched today, I got original reporting. Jen did some great work from the lunatic, dare I say, bat, beep, trying not to get demonetized yet, March for Life event. So we're going to have Jen's interviews and reporting with some really, in my view, interesting people. We also got reporting from Marcus in Iowa. We also have my own original reporting. So it's not just a bunch of people, bloviating. We're in the trenches, in the field. So I hope we'll have more of you signing up. We would like today, let's get past 850 members. So we're at 833. You could join us for as low as a cup of coffee a month. That's statuscoup.com/join. And if you join today, you'll be invited to our monthly members call on Tuesday. That's Jen and I. We'll be live with you, our video call, 7:30 Eastern time. That's statuscoup.com/join. Join us for our monthly members call. And I think we're going to have some interesting things to share with our members today. Tuesday. And we also have a new members video up right now that Jen did from her reporting from the March for Life. So, Rick Wallace, $5 in the super chat. Why are you going live when I'm about to canvass for Bernie Sanders? Feel the burn or we're all going to burn. Rick Wallace, dare I say, when you canvass, listen to us with headphones. And if somebody opens the door, put the headphones down and be respectful and talk to them. And then put the headphones back on. It sounds like you can multitask. You're young. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate it. And Jen, if you don't mind, so I don't miss any super chats when you get a chance, make that list that you've been making for me so I could keep going with it. All right. So, listen. Bottom line, the establishment could close their eyes and count to 10 and hope it's not real. But the Bernie Sanders momentum is undeniable. Bernie Sanders has been peaking basically for a month now, but a overwhelming preponderance of polls now are showing if the Iowa caucus were held today, I think Bernie Sanders would win. If the New Hampshire primary were held today, I think Bernie Sanders would win. That doesn't mean his campaign, his organizers, his volunteers, his supporters should be complacent. You got to look at it no matter what, like you're an underdog and they're going to rig it. Because you're going to have to not only win, but win convincingly. Because there will be some shenanigans on the evening of the Iowa caucus. Let's not pretend there won't be. Thank you, Poopy Cakes. £2 in the Super Chat. The Sunday live stream. Thank you, Chris. $5. Looks like Super Chat is working for now. Let's get this going. Thank you, Chris. Rock Lee, $1.99. Consequences if Bernie raises $120 million in Q1. The consequences, the oligarchy bank will probably strip him of the money. No, there's no consequences other than pretty damn good. I don't think he's going to raise $120 million in one quarter. That would be unheard of without big money. But we'll see. We'll see. That would be amazing. Cheryl Tyler, $20 going to phone bank for Bernie right now. Thanks for the $20 before you go phone bank. All right. So newest numbers here. If you haven't seen, you got the New York Times Iowa poll shows Bernie Sanders 25%, 18% for Mayor Pete Buttigieg, 17% say it ain't Joe Biden. Elizabeth Warren, this is what happens when you stab your allies in the front with a bunch of hearsay and nonsense, 15%. And Midwest Nice, Amy Klobuchar, up at 8%. She's been at 6 or 7, so she's surging at 8% for Amy. Tom Steyer, buying his way into contention there at 3% in Iowa. And Andrew Yang, who's not my cup of tea, but, let's be fair, pressed a lot of good issues into the campaign, down to 3%. Dare I say, the corporate media for forever has been pushing this narrative that what really hurt Elizabeth Warren was being for Medicare for all in the first place. And I think when you watch this live stream today, I hope all of you watch it for the whole, however long we're on, We start at noon and we go till I have no more words to say. And we already got 530 people watching. 300 of you have pressed the thumbs up button. Smash that thumbs up button if you could be so kind. The more people that press the like button, it's a thumbs up button right under the live stream, the more people that will see the live stream. So they've all been telling us that the reason Elizabeth Warren started fading is because she was for Medicare for all in the first place. Mind you, when she was the front runner for a short period, it was when she said, I'm with Bernie. I'm with Bernie. She was for Medicare for all. I never trusted it. If you follow Status Coup, I told you, just wait. Wait for her to moonwalk. But the media kept on framing it as, being for Medicare for all in the first place really hurt her. Well, you look at the the Iowa poll from the New York Times, and while Miss Warren's support fell across nearly all groups in the poll, her decline was particularly pronounced among younger voters. Just 16% of 18 to 29-year-olds supported her in the poll, down from 38% in October. Wow. I failed math in 11th grade, so let's do this real quick. 38% down to 16. That is a 22% drop. 38, 16, 22% drop for Elizabeth Warren. So here's the deal. I think what you had here was, a lot of younger voters, not all of them, but a lot of younger voters might have supported Bernie in 2016, saw Warren, she's a little bit younger. Oh, wouldn't mind a woman president, particularly if you're a woman. A lot of women were supportive of her, not only because she's a woman, but that was one of the components. She seems to be exactly on the same wavelength as Bernie. And I love Bernie, but, it would be nice to have a woman. It would be nice to have somebody younger that's pushing the same things. So I think that's part of why Elizabeth Warren rose in the first place. And the media incorrectly and falsely pushed that they're basically the same, even though they were never the same. Elizabeth Warren was never, quite to the level of Bernie Sanders as far as progressive policies. But I think enough people were convinced that you're basically getting Bernie just younger, a woman, and more palatable to the establishment. But the problem is, older people can smell BS too, but younger people, they are allergic to BS. They are allergic to inauthentic politicians. So when Elizabeth Warren starts moonwalking away from, according to the polls, the number one issue that voters care about, that would be health care, younger people say, why do I want a knockoff when I could go to the real thing, Bernie Sanders? Why am I going to stick with someone that I can't trust to have the courage of her convictions when Bernie has been saying the same thing for 40 years? So that's, whenever corporate pundits give you their political analysis, just realize they have no fucking idea what they're talking about. Ooh, demonetized. 15 minutes in. I made it 15 minutes. Swear jar. Let us know how you feel in the super chat, since I just demonetized this live stream. Cool Blue 71, $20. If Bernie Sanders wins the 2020 Dem Nom, estimate his path begins with 22 states from 2016, flips top 10 populous states, California, Rust Belt, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York, with southern states, North Carolina and Florida, add Iowa, Nevada, New Mexico, possibly AZMA. God bless you, Cool Blue 71. I love your enthusiasm. I don't agree that all those states are going to go for Bernie in the primary, but wouldn't that be grand if they did? I'm not so sure he's getting, I don't know if he'll get Ohio. It's possible. Don't know if he'll get New York, but possible. Florida, it's possible. Depends how the other states are going. North Carolina, I don't think he's getting. New Mexico, I think he's definitely getting because the polls show he's getting it. Arizona, possible. Massachusetts, unlikely if Elizabeth Warren is still in. But we'll see. I love the enthusiasm, though. Kelly Elaine, an original OG of the Coup. Thanks for bringing truth to people. Otherwise, we'd all go crazy. Thanks for appreciating the truth. Folks, 668 people watching, 420 of you smoke that, have pressed the like button. So I need over 200 more of you to press the thumbs up button right under the video. It makes a big, big difference. So we got the Iowa numbers from New Hampshire. Then you got New Hampshire WBUR, which is a respected poll in New Hampshire, just came out. Bernie's up 12 points. That is well beyond the margin of error there. 12 points up over Mayor CIA. I mean Pete Buttigieg. Biden, the last vice president of the United States, for a still popular president, 14 points. Warren, right next to Massachusetts, 13%. Tulsi Gabbard has been her best state, New Hampshire. That's where she spent the most time, 5%. Yang, 5%, and the rest don't matter. So that's pretty overwhelming. Current events require F-bombs. Denise, couldn't agree with you more. Thank you for the $5. I might actually make an advertisement saying just that. So thank you. So we got a bunch of New Hampshire polls. So this one's the best for Bernie. Just came out a few days ago. Commanding lead. Then you got CNN just released one. Bernie up, 9 points. CNN, University of New Hampshire. He's at 25. Biden at 16. Mayor CIA at 15. Warren again at 12. Where is Gabbard? Gabbard's still at 5 in this one. And NBC just came out with a New Hampshire poll. Bernie at 22. Buttigieg 17. Biden 15. Warren 13. Klobuchar 10. Gabbard 6. So that's the best for Tulsi Gabbard. So to me, well, let me just show you the national polls too. Emerson, Biden up 3 points, which is within the margin of error. The margin of error, 4.1%. So, they always call it a tie. They always say it's a tie when Bernie's leading by the margin of error. So we would have to, if we're being consistent, it's got to be a tie, right? Biden's up 3%, margin of error. So there you go. To me, interestingly enough, Amy Klobuchar, the New York Times, they played up this endorsement like it was the Super Bowl. We gotta wait all day last Sunday for the New York Times to endorse. We gotta wait when you watch the program at 10 o'clock for an hour to find out who they endorse. Amy Klobuchar, 4% after the New York Times endorsement. Same thing with Elizabeth Warren, 13%. I'll tell you, maybe the New York Times endorsement, not as pivotal as the bougie coastal elites in New York and D.C. that make up our national media think it is. And then you got a Fox poll, which it is Fox, but their polling at least is widely used. Again, margin of error. Biden 26, Bernie 23, Warren 14, Bloomberg high here at 10%, Pete 7, Yang 5. So let me tell you something. To me, the things that stand out about this poll, and let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Hard to keep up with all you fine folks. JK, $5. I encourage California Bernie supporters to register Dem, not NPP, based on 2016 shenanigans. 100%. And by the way, make sure after you register as Dem, go look and make sure you're still registered as a Dem. Because there are people that register as Dems that then find out, oh, they still have me as an NPP, or they don't have me registered at all. So you got to be vigilant. So what does this say? First of all, I already said it at the beginning, and we got 760 people watching, 500 likes. Can we get 250 more of you? Press that like button. To me, what this says is, number one, if Elizabeth Warren does not come in a close second in Iowa, then she needs to win New Hampshire, or at least come in a close second in New Hampshire, or she's going to have to drop out. The reason I say that, she has the most staff of any presidential candidate in the field. She's got over 1,000 staff. Actually, that's not true. Bloomberg has probably a little bit more, but Bloomberg, billionaire, could have as much staff as he wants. and he could still be losing and keep that staff because it's all his money. Elizabeth Warren and a normal candidate who's not buying the election can't. So if Elizabeth Warren in the Iowa poll, and this isn't the first Iowa poll that shows her fairly behind, if Elizabeth Warren, comes in third or fourth in Iowa, where she has the most staff on the ground in Iowa, New Hampshire is it for her. If she can't win New Hampshire or come in a very close second, well, what is your path to the nomination? You have the most staff, meaning you need money to keep paying those staff. But Iowa caucus is not about delegates. Iowa doesn't even have that many delegates. Thank you, John Kime, $5 in the super chat. Jordan, the Iowa caucus is on my 70th birthday. It will be the best birthday of my life when he wins. John, I'm screenshotting this because it warms my heart. Happy early 70th birthday. I hope it's a great, great day for you and your family. Elizabeth Warren, there's no path. If you don't win Iowa, if you come in third or fourth in Iowa, and then you don't win New Hampshire, you don't have momentum. Your fundraising is going to dry up. People who have not yet endorsed are probably going to endorse the candidates that have momentum. And it's going to be Kamala Harris all over. Kamala Harris's campaign began to shrink when she had to start laying off people because you staff up, but when you're shrinking in the polls, you have no momentum. Your fundraising isn't coming in as high, so you have to start laying off staff. Well, when you're losing in Iowa, when you have the most staff, and then you possibly lose in New Hampshire, that's way worse than shrinking in the polls. When you're actually losing the contest that you have the most staff in, you're screwed. So to me, that's the number one. I think Warren has to come in a close second. I mean, who knows? We could all be shocked and Warren win the Iowa caucus. I don't think so, but we'll see. But that's the biggest takeaway for me. Warren, Iowa's pivotal. If she comes in third or fourth, then she has to win New Hampshire or come in a very impressive second place in New Hampshire, or she's going to have to drop out. That's how I view it. Then you look at it, I think Pete Buttigieg's head is so big that I don't think he will. But Pete Buttigieg, I think Pete Buttigieg, his whole campaign is based on Iowa. Winning Iowa and having that Obama-like momentum thing, and I'm the new, hope of the world, I'll part the seas. So, but if Pete Buttigieg doesn't win Iowa, what's the path? He's not going to win New Hampshire if he doesn't win Iowa. New Hampshire responds to Iowa, typically. So Buttigieg right now, in a lot of the Iowa polls, he's competitive, but if it's not close, where it's not like a Bernie Hillary, where Bernie, I put in air quotes, lost, I don't see a path for Pete. So then we get to say it ain't Joe Biden. And remember, folks, it's a super chat. Keep it coming in the super chat. And we got a lot of great reporting we're going to be showing you, too. So we got reporting from Jen in the field, reporting from Marcus in the field, reporting from me. So make sure, if you're not a Status Coup member, check it out. statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. So then you have to look at not just the external polls, but what are the numbers the campaigns are seeing internally, right? To me, I think Joe Biden's campaign is in big trouble. I don't say that just because it would delight me if it were so. But, I mean, look at the emails that Joe Biden is sending out. Apologies, Jordan, he sends me. I'll cut to the chase. I'm emailing for $5 to help fuel my campaign. Click here to donate and help take me back. Help me take back the White House. He apologized for being so abrupt. But the Iowa caucus is in 9 days, so he sent this yesterday. If we don't carve out a path to victory in the Democratic primary, our campaign won't even get the chance to go toe-to-toe with Donald Trump. Our end-of-the-month deadline is only 6 days away, and I'm trying to raise $1 million in a week. It's no joke, Jordan. Even with all the messages we've sent, and Jen tells me this is normal. She knows more about email marketing than me, but I'm getting like 4 messages a day from Joe Biden. I don't know how normal that is if your campaign is doing okay in fundraising. Even with all the messages we've sent, literally, like some days, 4, we're still $815,000 away from $1 million. 2 of my opponents outraised me last quarter, so if we're going to start to close the gap between our campaign and theirs, we can't fall short. That's not a good sign if you're Joe Biden. You're going around the country. You're doing 2-3 fundraisers a weekend. Every week, he's doing more fundraisers than he's doing events, which is similar to what Hillary Clinton was doing. When you don't have an actual message, when you don't have actual policies, when you don't have any enthusiasm to get people on a small dollar grassroots level to keep donating, like Bernie has, Warren to a lesser degree has, Pete to a much lesser degree has. When you don't have that, you're left with, well, all the money you're getting is maxed out donations, right? You're getting maxed out donations from finance people, from fossil fuel fuckers, from big pharma people, big real estate, big financial lawyers, Silicon Valley. Well, they've maxed out. They can't give you any more money by law unless they break the law, which is always possible. We're talking about the corporate Democratic establishment, and laws don't always apply. So Joe Biden is in trouble because I think he's got a lot of staff. They're doing a lot of ads on TV, so his burn rate, the amount of money he's going through, is very, very, very dire. So if you don't have the money, not just to pay for the TV ads, but it takes money to organize, to push paid people out, to knock on doors, things like that, well, that's troubling. And then you got Mayor Pete sending out an equally dire email. I didn't get this one because they knocked us off of their email list after I dared to report on him. So somebody else tweeted this. Hi there. Bernie Sanders is raising tons of money. He's surging in the polls, and he has dark money groups attacking his competitors. If things stay steady until the Iowa caucus in just 9 days, Bernie Sanders could be the nominee of our party. But we need a candidate who could beat Donald Trump in November, and Pete is the candidate who is best positioned to do that. Right now, Bernie's campaign is outraising and outspending us. If this continues, there's a good chance he wins the Iowa caucus. Can you donate right now? I love, who is he talking about is the dark money Bernie's raising money from? Those evil nurses from Nurses United? Our Revolution, who, to be fair, Our Revolution, I've said, they haven't disclosed some of their largest donors. I would like them to. We got to be consistent. We got to call out even progressive groups. So Our Revolution should be more transparent in who's donating to them. But at the same time, they don't have any television ads on air for Bernie Sanders. They're not a super PAC for Bernie Sanders. They certainly are pushing positive messages about Bernie on social media. If that's dark money, okay. Fine. Let me read a few super chats. Hold on. Beth Dunham, $2. Bernie or fascism, end of freedom. Couldn't agree more. Andy P, $5. I love Marcus's latest reporting in the field. Thank you, Status Coup. Thank you, Andy. Thank Marcus. Louis Brooks, $5. Do you think DNC will prop up Warren until convention to use superdelegates? Luis, stay tuned. I got something on the DNC that's going to blow your fucking lid. So we're going to be reporting on the DNC. Edwin, $4.99. Did you see Tom's primaries are rigged Perez list of 2020 DNC committees? Why are you getting ahead of me? I'm getting into that soon. Yes, I did. We'll be talking about that. Henry, $5. Support independent media. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, obviously, Biden, this is what happens to candidates who don't have a message. Pete's message, a new generation of leadership. That doesn't mean anything, obviously. He hasn't done anything other than gentrify a small city, treat black citizens as second-class citizens, let the homeless freeze to death, execute and oversee cover-ups in his police department. But the media has propped this man up to the fact that he's even in contention in Iowa is ridiculous. But he doesn't have a message. Joe Biden is running Hillary Clinton's message from 4 years ago. Stronger together, in Biden's case, restore the soul of the nation, whatever that means. Trump is the Antichrist. eat your broccoli, hold your nose, as his wife basically said. Listen, you might not like my husband, you might like somebody else better, but the thing is, you gotta do it because we gotta beat Trump. Even though the polls now show he's not the most electable, how are you the most electable to defeat Donald Trump if 8 days before Iowa, you're losing in Iowa, you're losing in New Hampshire, and in head-to-head polls, Bernie is doing just as well as you against Trump. So this whole electability nonsense is just that. It's nonsense. So what do they have to do then? They have to create faux controversies. They have to play the identity politics game. And that's what Biden has been desperately doing over the last few days. That's what his allies, the Neera Tandons of the world, MoveOn.org, all of these places have been doing. So I'm not going to get into this a lot because I don't think it's really a big deal. But obviously, Joe Rogan, who, full disclosure, I'd love to get on Joe Rogan's show. If anybody here has connections to Joe Rogan, hook a brother up. I don't care if it's me. It could be Jen. I'd like it to be both of us, but whatever. I digress. We'd love to get on Joe Rogan's show. It would really help status quo. And by the way, got almost 1,000 people watching right now. 640 of you have pressed that thumbs up button under the video. Can I get another 300 people to press that like button? It's a thumbs up button right under the video. The false critic, 50 sec. Can they commit election fraud? They're using new smartphone apps for security reasons. Also, is it likely Bernie will get 51% of the delegates? Just wait. We're getting to the DNC, but I got to get to this first. Thank you for the super chat. Cool Blue 71, $10. All 50 states participated in primaries since 1976, D's, and 1980s R's. No general election nominee lost his home state in the primaries. Warren and Buttigieg might drop out before they could lose in Massachusetts and Indiana. Totally agree with you, particularly Warren. She will not risk losing Massachusetts. So I want to show you. This is a clip from Joe Rogan. He had Jimmy Dore on, and let's look at what he said.
Show. So that's good. And by the way, my show was never about guests. My show was all about my opinion,
of course,
and calling out bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's not nobody
doing the right thing. I'm doing the wrong thing because they all keep asking to be on my show.
Oh, okay.
I've had requests from all of them.
Really?
Oh yeah, Biden, Warren.
How do you resist
Mayor
that
Pete.
shit?
Because I have my friends. I'd rather talk to my friends.
Yeah, I know. I get a boner.
I like Tulsi and I like Bernie. That's it.
Oh yeah?
Everybody else can eat shit.
Look at you, fucking progressive.
Yeah. Well, I've always been. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Everyone says you're a right winger.
They're out of their fucking mind. I've never voted right wing in my life.
Really?
Never. I voted Democrat.
So, I mean, none of the campaigns. I haven't heard Biden's campaign claim that's not true. I haven't heard Warren's campaign say that's not true. I haven't heard Pete's campaign claim that's not true. So I gotta believe Bernie Sanders is not the only one that wanted to get on Joe Rogan's show. And I got news for you. I guarantee you Bernie Sanders didn't even know who Joe Rogan was. His campaign, who's a little bit younger than him, and said, hey, Bernie, got to get on this guy. He's got 7 million subscribers. He's a little controversial, but it'll be good for you. And Bernie said, all right. So this guy, Joe Rogan, who's insanely popular, a little controversial by the mainstream media's measurements. Bernie Sanders goes on. I didn't hear a lot of them slamming him when he went on Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan endorses him. Yeah, a political campaign gets endorsed by someone with 7 million subscribers, whose videos get, I think he gets 200 million views for his or listens for his podcast a month. You should just not mention it if you're a political campaign. Just let it breathe. Of course you would elevate that. And I got news for you. Biden tried to get on his show. Warren tried to get on his show. Pete tried to get on his show. You think if Joe Rogan endorsed any of them, they wouldn't be singing it from the rooftops? But all of a sudden, because it's Bernie, all of a sudden, Joe Biden is like this gladiator for civil rights. Let's be clear. Transgender equality is the civil rights issue of our time. There is no room for compromise when it comes to basic human rights. Oh, Joe Biden, he's so concerned about civil rights and transgender rights. Well, you know, he just so happened to have voted for the Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, which made it a law that marriage is between a man and a woman. I don't recall him being on his high horse back then, do you? Ben Brody, $2. Love your reporting. Keep up the great work. Thank you. Love you too. Noli15, looking forward to seeing heads explode on CNN and MSNBC when Bernie wins Iowa and New Hampshire. Do you think it'll explode more than when Trump won the election? Oh, man. It's so fun. Thanks for the super chats. Keep them coming. So, listen, straight up, does Joe Rogan are there some things I don't agree with? Yeah. I don't think he should platform people like Alex Jones. But guess what? NBC News, when they had Megyn Kelly, interviewed Alex Jones. I wouldn't give Alex Jones the airtime. I think he's vile. So I don't think, I get like interviewing people you disagree with, but if it were me, I don't think that's good. I wouldn't have Alex Jones on. There's some things Joe Rogan says that seem controversial that, to tell you the truth, it might not be PC for me to say, but when somebody like Joe Rogan says, I don't think transgender women who were born a man should be allowed to play in those sports, he's not saying it because he doesn't think transgender women should be equal. He's saying it because by their genetics and biology, they have an advantage over females that were born females. So you could agree or disagree with that, but he's not like making fun of transgender people. He's saying they have, this person was born a man and has different hormones. So they're trying to make it seem like he's, besmirching transgender people. No, he's not. He's making an argument based on they have different hormones, different body parts, different strengths than by birth women. You don't have to agree with it, but it's not it's not a sexist or racist statement, in my view. So the bottom line is these people are all fucking hypocrites. They all tried to get on Joe Rogan's show, but they don't have it. You can't go after Bernie on policy. There's so few areas to go after Bernie on policy because all the policies he's proposing are wildly popular. So what are they going after? Identity politics. Elizabeth Warren stabs Bernie Sanders in the front. And what happens? Identity politics on steroids. He said a woman can't win. How do we know he said that? Trust Elizabeth Warren. Well, as Jimmy Dore tweeted out, well, who am I? I can't disagree with a Native American. You're going to trust Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders? So, this Joe Rogan thing is absurd, in my view. They all wanted to get on him. And really why they're doing this is probably Joe Biden doesn't realize it, but there's some people around him that realize actually the Joe Rogan endorsement is far more influential than the New York Times endorsement. So the Rogan thing didn't work out. So then you have these ridiculous stories. I mean, this is from Politica, The Hill. Sanders faces lingering questions about appeal to women voters. This is from yesterday. There's really, like, some stories are written really with, there's no real news event happening to spark the story. They just want to push a message. So what they do, they form a narrative in the headline that's their opinion, and then they just find someone that they could quote to share their opinion. So this story, Bernie Sanders is surging in the Democratic primary contest, but faces questions over whether his battles with Hillary Clinton and Elizabeth Warren could pull his standing with women. Faces questions from who? They're just recycling here Hillary Clinton's statements, which were widely condemned on social media to the point where Hillary Clinton walked it back. And then, again, the story's not based on anything. It's not based on polling. So they just find someone to basically state what the author's viewpoint is. Securing votes from women will be an uphill struggle for Sanders, said Democratic strategist Brad Bannon. When there's an argument between a male and a female candidate, most voters will see the male candidate as a bully. So his confrontation with Warren just before Iowa and New Hampshire come at a bad time for Sanders. They're putting out this story literally at the same time. Polls, actual numbers, are showing it's the exact opposite. Warren has declined after stabbing Bernie Sanders in the front with a bunch of hearsay that most educated, common sense people don't believe. Warren is the one down 22 points in this Iowa poll among young people. Warren is the one. Look at that. She's at 13% in New Hampshire. Warren at 12%. Warren at 13%. Warren nationally, 13%. Warren, 14%. And if you want to look even more, they write this story, and God bless, I love Crystal Ball, who's with The Hill, but whoever is writing this with The Hill needs to go take a journalism class or become a status Coup member, and I'll teach you. And Jen will teach you. Even CNN debunks this nonsense.
New Hampshire poll numbers to unveil this Sunday, and they are more proof that Bernie Sanders is the candidate with momentum as the first votes draw near. Remember, Iowa votes first, a week from tomorrow. A New York Times Siena College poll there in Iowa puts the Vermont senator on top. New Hampshire, 8 days after Iowa. Our new CNN University of New Hampshire poll releasing right now, well, it shows Bernie Sanders leading there as well. Let's take a look. Among Democrats likely to vote in the primary in New Hampshire, 25% for Bernie Sanders. Joe Biden at 16. Mayor Buttigieg at 15. Elizabeth Warren down to 12. Let's look at the change since our last poll in October. Bernie Sanders is up. Senator Warren is dropped. Sanders on top, we just told you, in Iowa. New Hampshire next, the two first states, Bernie Sanders leading the pack. Why is this happening? Sanders always a favorite of progressives. 39% of liberals, self-described liberals, are for Bernie Sanders. 21% for Warren, Mayor Buttigieg, and Joe Biden. Look at the change here. Up 13 points since October. Bernie Sanders among liberal or progressive voters. Senator Warren down 7. This change right here is the biggest factor in Bernie Sanders getting momentum in the race. Also, top choice among women in the race. Let me bring this up as well here. Women who are going to vote in the New Hampshire Democratic primary, Sanders at 27, Biden at 15, Warren down at 14. She's lost 7 points. Sanders has gained 8. So he's leading here in New Hampshire. Which votes second? We already told you he's leading in Iowa. Which votes first? Bernie Sanders, happy.
All across the country, let me tell you, that the big money interests are getting very nervous. They're looking at recent polls in New Hampshire and in Iowa, and they're saying, oh my God, Sanders can win.
But wait a minute. The Hill, with this ridiculous story that Bernie has a problem with women, not citing any poll numbers, just finding somebody to say it's so, just told me Bernie has a woman problem. But the poll shows that after Elizabeth Warren stabbed Bernie Sanders, not in the back, in the front, goodbye. She ain't going to be Bernie Sanders vice president. So here's a news flash. If you're Elizabeth Warren or any other candidate, stop hiring former Hillary Clinton advisors from her failed campaign. I know she won the popular vote, but it shouldn't have even been close in the Electoral College. They lost to an orange orangutan. In the real world, those people would be put out on on an island. They do not know how to win an election. So stop taking advice from them, because it was surely the Hillary people that Elizabeth Warren has hired in her campaign saying, hey, go out with the sexism. It really works. Well, that poll shows not only it's not Bernie Sanders with the women problem. Elizabeth Warren lost 7 points in that poll. Bernie Sanders went up 8 points in that poll. So, again, these are the attacks that are coming. They're not based on anything, and they can't go after him against actual policy. Whoa, we got some lovely super chats here. Holy cow. Carol Edwards, $100 in the super chat. Carol, as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. We really appreciate your continued support. Hope you're doing well out there. Thank you so much. That's a very generous amount. Poopy Cakes, £5. Pretty funny. Joe Rogan would rather talk to Alex Jones than Pete, Joe, and Liz. That's a good point. Seth, $65. Thank you again, Seth. You're another great member of the Coup, always supporting us. We need status quo on Joe Rogan. I could only imagine how many people would benefit from journalism that is not bought off by giant corporations. Seth, Carol, everybody, start the campaign. We've emailed Rogan's person, never heard back. No knock on them. I'm sure they get a gazillion requests. But we would love to be on Joe Rogan. Hey, I am not going to sell out to banks. I'll do what I got to do to get on Joe Rogan's show. So we agree. And we hope on our upcoming members call, hint, hint, Jen and I will be having our monthly members call on Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern time. We'll give you an update on this big story coming out in a few weeks. We hope once we break this big story that we've been teasing to you, it might get on the radar of people like Joe Rogan. Hey, if they don't want to have me on, fine. They could. That's fine. If they want to have Jen on, whatever. It's fine. I would love to have Jen on if it's not me, but we need to get status quo on shows like Joe Rogan, Lickety Split, and we need more members for our member call. So sign up, statusquo.com/join. We're now at 833 people. We'd like to get past that 850 today. You could become a member for as low as a cup of coffee a month. That's $5 a month. We really appreciate, and we're about to show you more in the field reporting, which your funding is making happen. You've seen it. If you haven't seen it, your membership is helping fund our reporting all over this country, including in Iowa, and I'll be in New Hampshire before the New Hampshire primary. So keep it coming. We would love to get more members today. So the bottom line, they're doing whatever the hell they got to do to attack Bernie Sanders, and it doesn't seem to be working. Now, as I told you in the beginning of the live stream, Hillary Clinton's campaign obviously had opposition research on Bernie Sanders. I'm sure they passed it over to Joe Biden's campaign, and Biden's campaign has been sitting on a lot since then. And they've been sitting, and they're probably going to release a barrage of whatever is the most critical things they could find on Bernie Sanders. So when you see reporters saying, oh, a new video has unearthed, that means Joe Biden's campaign just sent it to the reporters that they know will publish it. So in this clip, let me play it for you. Bernie Sanders who voted for the crime bill. He has since said it was a mistake. He definitely voted for it for different reasons than Joe Biden. But I'll play you this clip. They are now pushing that Bernie is a hypocrite on the crime bill. So let's hear what they're pushing now that Bernie said about the crime bill in 1994.
There are many things, in my view, that government in a civilized society should be doing. Obviously, keeping the citizens safe from violence and physical assault is one of the most important roles that a government can play and must play. And that simply is what this crime bill is all about. It seeks to address the growing epidemic of violence in America by committing over $30 billion to fighting crime, which is the largest appropriation for crime fighting in the history of the United States. The crime bill that I voted for on Thursday, and which failed by 15 votes, is not a perfect bill. However, in my view, there is much in this bill of major importance and value to the citizens of Vermont and to the citizens of America, and I believe that it is a bill that is worth supporting. I voted for the bill on Thursday, and barring major changes in it, I intend to vote for it when it comes up this week. I'm going to vote for it again. Anytime one addresses a major issue like crime, and when one talks about an appropriation of $30 billion, which is a lot of money, It is easy to poke holes in that bill, and it is easy to tell us that the legislation is not perfect. Well, I agree. This legislation is not perfect. Let's be clear about it. But at a time when the citizens of this country are crying out for the government to begin addressing the crisis of crime, there is no question in my mind that this bill, in a dozen different ways, is a major step forward in controlling and preventing crime. It is a bill that should be supported.
So that is that is what they're pushing out now against Bernie Sanders. I'm kind of surprised they're pushing it out now, to tell you the truth. I thought they would probably want to push that out before South Carolina if Bernie was having momentum among black voters to try and knock him down. But Biden is obviously desperate to stop Bernie now. I don't know how much the people of Iowa are going to particularly care about Bernie Sanders voting for the crime bill, but they're going to try everything. My take, listen, I like Bernie, but when he's wrong, he's wrong. He has also said so that he's wrong. I also think you have to look, Biden has been pushing, and the media that protects Joe Biden has been pushing this word context. Context is everything, even though the context is Joe Biden has been calling to cut Social Security before I was even born. So if they want context for their terrible voting record, let's talk about the context here. And again, I think Bernie Sanders was wrong to vote for the crime bill. I'm happy that he has said he was wrong. It's actually nice when politicians could just own their mistakes. Joe Biden in 2016, and I've played this before. Sorry, I don't have it right now. Joe Biden in 2016, when asked by a CNBC reporter, do you regret anything from the crime bill? He said, no, not at all. Okay? Joe Biden, by the way, does not regret anything having to do with NAFTA or TPP. He don't regret any of that. Bernie Sanders was wrong. I don't like in that clip, he's talking a little bit more about the crime aspect and how we need to tackle crime. I think he got a little suffocated by all this hysteria about crime. There was a reason for the crime, which Bernie Sanders addresses, which is economic desperation, lack of investment, particularly in black and brown communities, those kinds of things. But he also voted for it, and I don't know if you got a chance to send this to me, Jen. I know you've been swamped with the email and the text, so no worries if you didn't. But there's also a clip of Bernie Sanders on the floor of the House saying he's going to vote for the bill because it has the violence against women provision, which was very important. But he was predicting that mass incarceration was going to happen as a result of the crime bill. And he was against certain proponents of the bill that were looking to widely expand jails, to incentivize states to arrest and imprison more people. Oh, sorry. Jen said check text. I didn't get it. Oh, here we go. So, here's what Bernie said about crime bill.
There are two places that are great for learning how to drive. An empty parking lot and inside a Volkswagen.
Come in now to your Volkswagen dealer and lease the sophisticated and capable 2019 Jetta S for just $159 a month.
Former Vice President Biden is spending a lot of time on the campaign trail defending his support for the 1994 crime bill, which he authored. You also voted for it, though you made clear your concern about mass incarceration at the time. Let's roll that clip.
We are dooming today tens of millions of young people to a future of bitterness misery, hopelessness, drugs, crime, and violence. End, Mr. Speaker, all the jails in the world. And we already imprison more people per capita than any other country. Will not make that situation right.
And yet you voted for the bill because there were many provisions in it that you did like. How do you explain to communities of color today in particular why that yes vote was worth the cost, even though you saw the mass incarceration problem coming down the pipe?
I'll tell you why. Look, when you have a large bill, as you well know, Jake, that has many features in it, many provisions in it, you have to make a choice. And the choice that I had made is I had run for office. And this was back in '88 and again in 1990. You know what I said to the people of Vermont? And by the way, Vermont is a state that then had virtually no gun control laws at all. I said, we have got to ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons. That was way back then. And that's what I told the people. This bill, as you know, the crime bill did have a ban on assault weapons. It also had the provision in there dealing with violence against women. I made a promise to women. So I was on the floor. What you just showed is me understanding how bad aspects of that bill was. But I made a promise to the people of Vermont. And since then, I've been doing my best, helping to lead the effort for real criminal justice reform so that we end the disgrace of having more people in jail than any other country.
So there you have it. If the politician I support is going to be wrong on something, there's a few things. Number one, how many things are they wrong about? If there's only a few things that they're wrong about and they own being wrong about it, and since then have fought on the right side, that's all you could ask. Nobody's gonna be 100% right on everything. But there's Bernie Sanders owning his mistakes. And by the way, even when he was in the process of making the mistake and voting for it, he was foreshadowing the mass incarceration that was coming down the pipe. Just like he foreshadowed, you're about to make Iraq and the Middle East wildly unstable if you go to the Iraq war. It seems to me Bernie Sanders' judgment, even when voting for the bill, was wrong. He sees things that the Joe Bidens and the Hillary Clintons and the Barack Obamas of the world are blind to. So you have Bernie Sanders, who owns his mistakes. Meanwhile, you got Joe Biden blatantly lying about his own mistakes. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Take a look at this.
To it.
No, I didn't propose a freeze. Look, we're talking about is the time.
Do you think, though, that it's fair for voters to question your commitment to Social Security when in the past you proposed a freeze to it?
No, I didn't propose a freeze. Look, we're talking about is the time. You mean when we went together and decided?
Yeah, you talked about it in the context of balancing the budget.
No,
so is that something that voters should be?
It was in the context of we saved Social Security during the Reagan administration was about to go under, and everyone from Teddy Kennedy on voted for that to save Social Security.
When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
I don't know. Call me weak. I'd rather support a politician that when they make mistakes, they don't lie about it. They don't try to reinvent history. Kudos. I don't know who that was that actually challenged him. It's a lot more than any other journalist has done. He's simply doing his best Donald Trump. He's lying. He's straight up lying. Thank you, Sem Iden. Off topic, $5. Off topic. Trump budget includes cuts to Social Security, Medicare. No one knows about it. Why won't Democrats sing its song? It will help for general. Because the Democratic Party has put Social Security and Medicare on the table. Obama did, and guess what? Joe Biden did. During the Obama administration, Joe Biden was leading. He was leading negotiations This is from the Daily Beast. Biden and Obama spent a lot of months pursuing a deal with Republicans that would have cut Social Security and Medicare benefits. This is a matter of public record. They changed their tune in the latter years, but the history is pretty clear on this. And by the way, that clip, and thank you, Sem, for the super chat, that clip, that was in the 1990s. So when he said I tried to do it 4 times, he actually then tried to do it 5, 6, 7, and 8 more times. He tried to do it during George W. Bush's administration, and he tried to do it as vice president to President Obama. He's got a long history of trying to cut Medicare and Social Security. Calling for a freeze is the equivalent of cut. It cuts services. He has called for means testing Social Security. He has called for raising the retirement age. This is all equivalent to a cut. Jen, I wrote this. Next 5 status coup members will get a personal call from Jordan and Jen. Wow. Wonderful. Looking forward. We are at 833 members. So the next 5, you're going to get a personal call from Jen and I. Look forward to chatting with you. Sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. Sign up. Statuscoup.com/join. Woke Nation. Danielle Vivolo, $1.99. DNC is brutal for Sanders. Corruption personified. We're going to get to the DNC in a little bit. Was it a super chat? Yes, they're asking you to read it. Woke Nation, Woke Nation. So hard to keep up with all of this. Oh. Ingrid, 2000. See Hillary talking about the 08 primary today? I did not. Where is Woke Nation super chat? Oh, Woke Nation. $1.99. Do you think the polls are underestimating him? Yeah, I've been saying the polls are underestimating Bernie from the beginning of the campaign because there is a large number of younger voters and first-time voters that are supporting Bernie Sanders, and those voters do not show up. They don't get called by pollsters. Pollsters only call likely voters, people that have already voted in the past. So I think there is a very significant portion of Bernie Sanders' support that doesn't even show up in the polls. So yes, and I've been saying that. And by the way, just to rub it in, and for those of you that have been watching Status Coup from the early days, you know how I always tell you we need a status coup in this country because the media perpetuates the status quo with propaganda? Here is Nate Silver. And Jen, this might make your head explode. Here is Nate Silver saying the same fucking thing Jordan Sheridan and Jen Dyes and Status Coup have been pointing out and reporting for the last year. Pretty clear that projected turnout among younger voters is causing some of the big differences among pollsters in Sanders' support. Given Bernie's ground game and the track record of turning people out in 2016, seems like optimism for him might be justified. But I don't even know what that, I'm not cool enough or cultured enough to know what that means. But what's amazing here, and I don't want to brag or anything, but Jen and I have both reported for a year, we have dissected the polls that were wildly oversampling older voters, that were wildly undersampling younger voters, and saying the polls that CNN and MSNBC would then run with for 24 hours, 48 hours, saying, oh, Bernie, he's yesterday's news. They were insanely, some of the polls, 60 to 70% of those polled were over the age of 50. No wonder Bernie's far behind. His strongest demographic is under 50. And then when I would tweet it out, then when I would report it, the pollsters who know everything would say, oh, well, young people don't vote, even though young people came out in significantly larger numbers in 2016 and the 28 midterms. So the pollsters, because they too are out of touch and don't even go with the latest data trends. Nate Silver is the data guy. Nate Silver, who also was on Twitter basically calling folks like Jen and I conspiracy theorists. Oh, the polling truthers. They're the polling truthers. Nate Silver just tweeted out today exactly what we have been saying for a year. And you know what's outrageous about this, Jen? I'm talking to Jen in the super chat. Nate, how much more fucking money does Nate Silver make than Status Coup is making? Temporarily. We're going to end up on top eventually. But these people are paid to be wrong. These people are paid to be imbeciles. These people are paid to ignore data. They are paid to ignore trends. They are paid to keep people uninformed and misinformed. All you had to do was look at the polls. None of these people in the national media ever even read the polls. All you had to do was look at how many people are they polling? What are the age breakdowns? What are the gender breakdowns? It was very easy to find out that they were basically going into senior citizen homes and polling people. No offense if you're an older voter, because there's a lot of older voters that are progressive. So the establishment is paid to misinform you. The establishment is paid to perpetuate the line that moderate to right-wing candidates are beloved, and they're not. And now that it's closer to Iowa and New Hampshire, now that they're actually polling more young people, go figure, Bernie Sanders is in the lead in a lot of these polls. Thank you, Chibi Roxanne, $24.99. Keep dropping that truth, Mike Jordan. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And now, after we play this video, I'm gonna get into the DNC and their fuckery. I want to play an interview Jen did. It's on a different topic. I think she was very, very diplomatic because these were, younger girls. And she was diplomatic because she was at this March for Life event this week. But Jen was at the March for Life because we don't only want to cover the campaign. We want to cover other things. Welcome, new Status Coup member, Tom. We are now at 834 Status Coup members. Let's keep it going, baby. Statuscoup.com/join. So, Jen caught up with a lot of these pro-life people. And I think she was very nice and diplomatic. I mean, you don't want to get in a fight or anything. But actually, let me read this to you first so you understand the context. So, this is from Focus on the Family. Pro-life's perspective on war. Is it possible to be pro-life and pro-war at the same time? I'm a Christian and a strong pro-lifer, and I've wrestled with this issue many times in my mind over the last several years. The biblical commandment is clear. Thou shalt not kill. As I see it, killing is killing no matter what the context. What difference does it make whether a child is destroyed on the table of an abortion clinic or as the result of a U.S. airstrike in Afghanistan? How can I, as a disciple of Jesus, possibly lend my support in either case? As a matter of fact, it's not entirely accurate to say that killing is killing. Most modern translations of the Bible agree that Exodus 20:13 is better rendered, you shall not murder. From the biblical perspective, there are different kinds of killing, and not all of this can be classified as murder. So I'm not going to read anymore because it will make my head explode, but you get the context, because I've always said, and Jen makes the point, and by the way, we just got another new Status Coup member. Welcome to the party, Austin! We are now at 835 Status Coup members. Let's keep it coming. Let's get a little herd. Let's keep it coming, baby. Statuscoup.com/join. So Jen interviewed some of these folks on, how are you pro-life and against, fetuses being killed, but you don't have a problem with all the wars we're trying to start. Oh, by the way, I don't know if this came up, but, what about gun control? All the kiddies are being shot to death in Newtown and all these other places. Are we worried about life there? So let's take a look at one of Jen's interviews.
Jen, and what's your name?
I'm Janet.
And you're with Focus on the Family?
I am, yeah.
And this event is the March for Life, the day before the march.
Correct.
So what is your kind of stance? Why are you guys here?
Yeah, so we are here. Obviously, we are pro-life. The sanctity of human life is a core issue at Focus on the Family. And we're just really excited to be here and support what March for Life has done for years and years and years, and come alongside and encourage our constituency to join us.
Okay, and what do you guys think about, I know that like the news in the last day or so has been that now President Donald Trump is going to come speak. So what do you feel about that? I know he's joined in via conference in 2018, I believe it was, but this is the first time in person that he's kind of made a commitment.
Yeah, it's super exciting that this is going to be a first, so it'll be a really exciting day tomorrow.
What do you think about, obviously we have the recent stuff with Donald Trump, the impeachment is looming over all of us. Yeah. Christianity Today made a statement against Trump, saying that he should in fact be removed from office. What do you think about that from a policy standpoint, or like what he's done? I know that diverts a little bit from abortion, but just in general.
Yeah. I would just say that I'm really excited that he's taking the stand that he is, and that he's going to join us at the march tomorrow. I think that that's a great thing, and that we can all align in that.
What do you think? And I know a lot of people have made the point that he, less than 2 decades ago, was pro-life, and now he's switched. What do you think about his change in that? I know he said, he had a personal experience that convinced him that he was then pro-life. I think it was with a friend who was really glad that his partner did not have an abortion, so then he was pro-life. That kind of shift, does it make you wary that people are calling him like the most pro-life president? Do you think there's something, something there where he's kind of waffling a little bit? What are your thoughts?
I think we are all accountable for our own walk with God, and for our own call, and for what we feel convicted to do. And so that is our job, to be in line with our relationship with Christ and follow that. And if we're doing that, then we're all on the right path.
And one thing that, I know I don't want to take up too much of your time, but one thing that people bring up a lot is the difference between, the focus on being pro-life, being against abortion, and then being pro-war. And Trump has initiated, strikes in Iran, and has killed, basically their VP. And there are casualties. This time we were lucky there weren't casualties, but in the past there definitely have been. We tend to bomb the Middle East. We tend to be very pro-war. We're involved in every country. We run coups. How do we kind of measure our pro-life stance with the push to war that often does happen on the right?
Yeah, I am not going to answer that question. I do not feel equipped to answer that, but I'm really excited that you're here and that you have a desire to fill that gap, and that's important. And I think, again, it's really great that we all can find things that we agree on, and that we're here as a pro-life community and we're coming together, probably with many different opinions and many different beliefs, but standing for the same cause.
Well, so yeah, I guess it's unfair to ask you to answer for everybody, but for you personally, how do you weigh the push to war versus being pro-life? We've killed so many in so many countries, and so that that has to hurt the heart, right?
Of course. Yeah.
How do we measure those? There are bills in Senate and Congress for war. There are bills in Senate and Congress for abortion, anti and pro. So what kind of focus should we put on being anti-war and being, in your opinion, anti-abortion or anti-choice?
Yeah, I am not here to answer that, but I appreciate you being here.
I find it interesting, though, that you won't answer it. I mean, it's just it's about life, right? So if we're against
If we're
death,
all for life, that is a good thing, and I think that's something that we stand together on, and we celebrate that, and we charge forward.
Sure, and war and imperialism, though, kills dramatically more people. So I don't understand why you won't answer anything about war.
Yeah, what is your thought on it?
Oh, I think it's absolutely abhorrent. We definitely should not be involved in all these countries. I think it is completely anti-human, anti-life to be in all these wars, and it really, really hurts my heart. Focus on the Family has actually issued a statement about this on their website.
Sorry, one moment.
Sure.
So I would be.
Hi there. Hi. Yeah, I'm just asking about Focus on the Family's stances and stuff like that, and we got a little bit into war and the stance on war, and so on Focus on the Family's website, I was just looking, and basically it says like we have God has the divine.
What is your name?
My name is Jen.
Jen, and
Yeah.
who are you here with?
My name is Jen. I have a blog. Yeah,
and what's your
it's right
blog?
on my shirt. Yeah,
that's great. That is cute. We're
Yeah.
so glad you're here.
Thank
we
you.
unfortunately are not able to answer on that, but
Well,
we
it's
are
on
really
your
excited.
blog, so I just went to like it's on your blog. So
We need
just
to-
about like God's divine ability to like command that war is okay.
Yeah, we speak directly into this kind of space. We don't actually talk about anything that's on our blog. There's tons of people that are with Focus that can help you with that, but we're not going to be able to speak to that for you.
I don't understand why. I mean, if you're pro-life, that's like very, it goes hand in hand, right?
Of course, yeah. If you're taking a stand for life, you're taking a stand for life. But
Even like black and brown people across the world, not just.
we believe in the value of every life. Thank you so much for coming by. We appreciate it, and we're really again excited to be able to be in this cause with you.
Well, I'm, more about the.
We're not going to say anything else on it, but thank you so much for your time.
But you're about pro-life.
We are, but we're not going to say anything else about it.
It doesn't make sense. Like pro-life is pro-life, right?
Thank you for swinging by.
Yeah, very, very convenient for you guys. Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.
Status quo.
Woo, child! Was that amazing or what? Give it up. Jen dies.
Go, Jen!
Let me tell you something. Not that I, take pleasure in a bunch of privileged white girls twisting themselves into a pretzel, but I do take pleasure in seeing that. Because I just want to be fair to these women. And we just got another new member. Welcome to the party, Sydney. We are now at 836 Status Coup members. I think more people should sign up to support Jen's reporting in the field, my reporting, Marcus in Iowa. Keep it coming. Would like to get to 850 today. We got more interviews to show you. But in defense of these women for a second, and I think Jen would agree with this, I hope, they're brainwashed from an early age. It's their parents brainwashing them, and their parents brainwashed them. It's a generational brainwashing that's going on here. And, obviously a lot of people in America, in the world, you're raised a certain way, and you could then become an adult and realize, oh, this was bullshit, and go the other way. So not everybody is brainwashed and stay that way. But a lot of women that believe in this, and again, if you're pro-life for religious reasons, I don't agree with you, but if you're a religious person and you just believe that, so be it. But they have never, ever they have never even considered, because the parents that brainwash them and make them go to Sunday schools and make them go to these pro-life things, pro-life groups, and then when they become adult women and have children, they then brainwash their children. They never consider, what about, we're killing people all around the world. Oh, you're so pro-life for an unborn fetus, but no, we don't, let's not do anything when 20 school children get blown up and killed in Newtown. We don't worry about those lives. We can't take away the guns. Those lives, well, what are you going to do? The Second Amendment, right? When children and young adults are getting shot in malls, getting killed, shot and killed in movie theaters, Walmarts, if you're down in El Paso. Well, those lives, what can we do? Second Amendment. They've never had to deal with the basic contradiction of their brainwashing. And I think Jen did it in such a nice way because she's a lot nicer than I am, and she's a lot more warm and inviting than I am. Just her voice and her disposition and her smile makes people want to talk to her. But she kept challenging them, I thought, very well and respectfully. But to the point where the woman literally has to run away to her manager or whatever because she doesn't have an answer. And the truth is, I bet you, I can't get in that woman's mind, and I'm not here, and I don't think Jen is either, to condemn that woman. I'm sure she's nice. But I bet you, as Jen was saying this, and I could tell in her face, you know, part of being a good journalist, you kind of have to read what people are thinking in some ways. I bet you this was the first time she had even considered what Jen was saying, because it's probably the first time she's even ever heard it posed. It's amazing when during an interview, it's people, you see that the miswiring and the misinformation and the brainwashing is, for the first time, they're even having to challenge their own dispositions. Joshua Jackson, the way her face dropped. Exactly. So, you know, obviously we're going to do a whole lot of things. We're going to cover the Democratic primary. We're going to cover the DNC rigging, which I'm about to do. We're going to cover alt-right things sometimes. Jen covering the March for Life. Check out our videos. She also interviewed a MAGA-wearing hat guy who said, it's just dandy. We would love King Trump. King Trump. See, to me, it's more valuable if you're going to cover Trump, and we don't cover Trump that much because, like, what do we have to add? But if you're going to cover Trump, why would we be the 17,000th media outlet to cover impeachment or Stormy Daniels or whatever he tweets when there's a bunch of wackadoodles out there that we could interview? And I think it's very valuable to interview Trump supporters. They're not all batshit. They're not all racist. Because how are you actually going to get those people to your side? How are you actually going to wake more people up to the fact that they are being hoodwinked if you don't actually speak with them, if you don't actually interact, if you don't actually see what do they like about them, Trump? How are you ever going to make any headway pulling these people back to earth if you don't speak with them? So we think it's a lot more valuable to actually go out and interview Trump supporters than cover his tweets, cover the impeachment, and cover stuff that every other outlet is covering. So we hope you enjoy it. And we got other interviews that we're going to be publishing, so we might have new viewers today. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel. When you subscribe, make sure you click the bell for all subscribers. All notifications, so you get all notifications. It doesn't mean they're actually going to notify you, but anyway. And by the way, Jen, I'm sure, if you're a Status Coup member, can share on Tuesday. Again, we're at 836 Status Coup members. We got our members call coming up Tuesday night. I'm sure she'll share with you. Once you start challenging folks in those kind of places, oh, the dirty looks you start getting. And wait, who is this interloper? How did she get in? Who is she with? I get it all the time when I go into places and they realize, oh, you're not just another slobbering journalist who's just going to regurgitate the lies we feed you. So great work from Jen. I mean, literally couldn't have done it better. Honestly, I don't even think I would have been able to handle it. I would have just started fucking going off. So that was great. And by the way, one of the reasons, just so you know the whole behind the scenes, because we keep it real here, one of the reasons we're trying to grow our membership significantly, because membership is our model. So for those of you who are like, Jordan, stop asking for money, there's a reason why. One of the reasons we're trying to grow our membership, and when I say grow, we got to, at a minimum level, we got to get over 1,000. Like quickly, to really do something here, is we don't have any corporate funding. We don't have any banks funding us. We don't have any fossil fuckers funding us. We don't have a big pharma, Silicon Valley, big real estate, none of it. And we don't want that funding. So, not that we're Bernie Sanders or anything, but we are growing from the ground up, and that means through actual viewers. We think this is not only the ethical model to grow, it's also the most, it's the wisest model. Because when you grow through small dollar subscriptions, you don't have to do clickbait. You don't have to, just do nonsense Trump story after Trump story after Trump story, because your model is not based on advertising. When your model is based on advertising, then you just got to hit quotas for clicks. We don't have to worry about that. But one of the reasons we're trying to raise our membership is our goal. Jen, for those of you that don't know, does the majority of the marketing for, well, not the majority, all of it for Status Coup. She does most of our social media. She does most of the very, very tedious, painful logistical things, including booking travel, dealing with YouTube's fuckery. She does a lot. And we want to hire somebody else. Not that I made the job appealing, but we want to hire somebody else to take a lot of that marketing load off of her so we could shift her over to the journalism side. Because that's she's very good at marketing too, but we want her to be able to do more journalism because she's obviously a force to be reckoned with. But money don't grow on trees. We can't print it like the federal government. So that's why we're trying to grow. But just to be clear, if we get to a certain level, then we're going to be able to really move Jen over to where she belongs in journalism. Doesn't mean, she'll still from time to time do some marketing stuff because she's good at it. But overall, we want her to be focusing more on breaking stories, research, in the field reporting. She's right outside of DC. She lives close to DC. So plenty of stuff for her to cover in DC. So sign up, statuscoup.com/join. So 800 people watching still. The false critic, did Jordan answer my question? What was your question, kind sir? And let me make sure I didn't miss any super chats because they're coming in hot and heavy. Austin Charles, X, California, $5. Thank you. Hey, Jordan, how much do you think provisional ballots and voter roll purging will have an effect in 2020? I think it's going to make a difference, and I think that's why Bernie can't afford to win by 1 or 2 percentage points. He needs to win more so. Greg Palast, who's a great independent journalism, said they can't rig all the votes all the time, but you have to compensate for the rigging they're going to do, so you have to win by a larger margin. But I do think it's going to come into handy, particularly in California, which fucked with things in 2016, and I've reported on the fact that they're already fucking with things now. Danielle Vivolo, $1.99. DNC is brutal for Sanders. Corruption personified. Well, I'm getting to that next, so stay tuned. I think I read that one. Bingy 2000, $2. See Hillary talking about the 08 primary today? No, I didn't see her. I don't know what she said, but I'm not going to waste my time. Woke Nation, $1.99. Do you think the polls are underestimating him? I do, which I explain why I think they're underestimating him and why you should support Status Coup rather than the corporate media. And just by the way, I don't spend a lot of time on trolls. But whichever account is like inventing 30 to 40 new accounts to spam us with porn, if you're going to do that, at least give us money. If we're going to have to spend our resources to keep blocking you, you obviously have no life. At least donate to the super chat if you're going to spam us with porn and other things. We invite the trolls, but you can't troll for free. Damn it. Am I right?
You are totally right.
Thank you. Catherine Garrett, $10. Here's $10 because my membership payment didn't clear my debit card this month. LOL. Keep up the good work. No problem. Thank you for the super chat. So, what's unreal? Tom Perez, the DNC, lead with your values. Tom Perez has claimed that, we're neutral this time. We're neutral. And may the best gal or guy win. Well, he just stacked the deck with a hall of fame of sleazy, establishment, big dollar donors, Hillary loving, Obama loving, establishment shills to be on the DNC's conventions, committees. And why would that be important? Because if so many candidates remain, including billionaire Michael Bloomberg, if so many candidates remain, it is possible that Bernie Sanders heads into the Democratic convention with the most pledged delegates. You know, you got to reach, sorry, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but you got to reach X amount of pledged delegates to just win on the first ballot. But you could go into the convention with the most pledged delegates, but not enough to clinch the nomination. And then it's a brokered convention. And if it's a brokered convention, I got news for you folks. As somebody who has covered the 2016 convention, I don't know if they'll let me in this time. The DNC has been denying us credentials to cover debates. Thank you, PJ Coin, €8 in the super chat. Is it good porn? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't need porn. I gotta love. Oh, excuse me. New member, Lucy. Lucy in the sky, diamonds. We are now at 837 status Coup members. Welcome to the party, Lucy. Love it. So I wanna thank Kevin from Shadowproof, because honestly, I'm working 7 days a week, and I really, really didn't want to have to take the time yesterday to go through this list. As my girlfriend could tell you, like, my eyes are killing me at the end of the day because all I do is work, and I'm in front of my computer all day, and I just needed the day off. So Kevin from Shadowproof did the research for me. So Tom Perez just announced his committees for the DNC convention. And let me just, did I make it bigger? I think I did. Here we go. Credentials Committee, Vice Chairs, Tony Burgos, major lobbyist and big donor to the Democratic Party. Maura Healey, I believe that's Massachusetts Attorney General. You got a whole bunch of establishment figures. Dennis McDonough, who is Obama's former chief of staff, who John Hamm played in the movie we just watched. Vice Chair, Alex Padilla, the corrupt Secretary of State of California, who was a supporter of Hillary Clinton in 2016 and was responsible for the misinformation and deceptive mailers that were going around. Jake Sullivan, Hillary Clinton's top foreign policy advisor. By the way, was an advisor to Vice President Joe Biden. I could go through the list. But my favorite, we got Barney Frank, who hates Bernie Sanders. My favorite, John Podesta. John Podesta. So all of the committees are stacked, not only with a who's who of the establishment, they are stacked with consultants for the DNC. They are stacked with consultants in DC whose very business existence, their very survival as a business, is threatened by a President Bernie Sanders. They are stacked with Democratic Party establishment lifers like Barney Frank. And they are stacked by people that, if it's a close call, if it's a brokered convention, I got news for you. These people have zero concern or hesitation about going against democracy, going against who has the pledged delegates. These people, I promise you, will say they know better. And screw Bernie Sanders and the progressives. And who will they screw him for? My guess? Elizabeth Warren. They'll call it a compromise. And you think Elizabeth Warren's going to be opposed to that? So let's just go through it. And again, follow Kevin. This is his reporting. It's not mine. This is from Kevin from Shadowproof at KGOSZTOLA, but he did this great thread which identifies a lot of these people. So Democratic National Committee Chair Tom Perez issued a list of individuals he nominated for the 2020 Democratic National Convention committees. Let's examine some of the individuals. I'll initially focus on the nominees for the DNC Platform Commission. Dennis McDougall, Barack Obama's chief of staff. He also chairs Rework America Task Force, which launched Rework America Business Network with Heidi Capozzi, a senior vice president of human resources at that progressive group, Boeing. Oh, God. Rework America Business Network. Oh, you know what? Let me also put this in the super chat if you guys want to follow along with me. Rework America Business Network that McDonough helped launch counts as its founding members the following: Ione, Archer Daniels Midland, Boeing, Duke Energy, Kaiser Permanente, McKinsey, oh God, Stanley Black & Decker, Walmart, and Zurich. I mean, if that's not a hall of fame of criminal fuckers, I'm talking to you, Duke Energy. I'm talking to you, Kaiser Permanente. McKinsey, Pete's wonderful consultant company that helped Blue Cross Blue Shield increase your healthcare costs. John Hamm portrayed McDonough in 2019 film The Report, which my girlfriend and I watched yesterday. It was very good, which told the story of Senate CIA torture report through the perspective of Senate staffer Daniel Jones. On behalf of the CIA, McDonough advocated for more redactions from the executive summary that was released. Actually, Dennis McDonough, the chief of staff to Obama, basically advocated for the CIA essentially just doctoring the report completely. Then you have Daniel Gray, former Obama administration official, is the senior vice president, chief legal officer, and corporate secretary for Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina. So obviously, if the candidate that wants to put Blue Cross, Blue Shield of America out of business is leading in pledged delegates, clearly Daniel Gray is a non-conflicted, neutral arbiter who's going to look at the platform and the rules and all that with an open mind when her business interests are at stake. You see how neutral the DNC is, folks? Welcome, new Status Coup member, Alicia Donnelly. Welcome to the party! 838 Status Coup members. Can we get to 850? Do you believe? I believe. Keep it coming, folks. We also have some super chats coming in. I don't want to miss our fantastic. Lily Roll, $2. I'd like short clips to share about who they are. We do cut up our live streams into short clips. Thank you, Colin Tooley, for doing that for us. UFDA crew, help. $10. Help stop the FAA NPRM. Don't let the FAA hand over all public airspace below 400 feet down to 1 inch above the ground to Amazon and private military contractors. We are going to protest February 29th at FAA HQ. Email us the information, info@statuscoup.com. A Mayors 9.99 in the super chat. I've been canvassing in Norwalk, Iowa, and there are Bernie supporters of all ages. He will win even in this solidly red county. I've never met one Biden supporter ever, and DM register is a joke. Thank you for the super chat. So keep them coming in the super chat. Let's keep going. And again, this is not me. This is Kevin from Shadowproof has looked into all these people. Danielle Gray of Blue Cross Blue Shield. Gray was a partner in the New York law firm O'Melveny and Myers, where she advised healthcare companies, financial service institutions, universities, and clients in a range of industries on litigation, internal investigations, and government enforcement actions, aka how to fuck you up the ass. Excuse my potty mouth. Jake Sullivan, a member of the Alliance for Securing Democracy's Advisory Council, translated the military-industrial complex's left hand. He was a senior policy advisor for Hillary Clinton's 2016 and 2008 campaigns for president. He also was a national security advisor to Vice President Joe Biden. So clearly, when you have senior advisor to Hillary Clinton, 2008-2012, on foreign policy. Senior advisor to Vice President Joe Biden. Clearly somebody who, by the way, thinks we should be at war in other countries. Totally down with the warmongering of Hillary Clinton. Clearly, this guy is a non-conflicted, neutral person. If it were to come to a brokered convention, he's going to fight for democracy. He's going to fight for who has the most pledged delegates. Then you got Georgia State Senator Nikema Williams, served as a member of the Obama Victory Fund 2012. She was, quote, one of, quote, top 10 influential African-American bundlers for Obama. Top contributors to the PAC included employees from Comcast, Goldman Sachs, and Google. Oh, God. God, I want to vomit. Carol Browner is a senior counselor for Albright Stonebridge Group, business firm founded in 2009 by former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. She worked on climate change policy in Obama administration. Clinton's campaign appointed Browner to 2016 DNC platform drafting committee. She worked on climate to the point that they refused to ban fracking, which is one of the biggest contributors to the inferno. I don't call it climate change anymore. It's the inferno. It is urgent, and Clinton and Biden are not against are not for banning fracking, which, as Josh Fox puts it, means they're climate deniers. As a Clinton delegate during the 2016 Platform Drafting Committee meeting, she voted against a ban on fracking, which I just pointed out, Medicare for all. She opposing the Trans-Pacific Partnership, meaning she was for it, keeping fossil fuels in the ground, and a measure to halt abuse of eminent domain by the fossil fuel industry. So you got to love climate advisors who basically work for the fossil fuel industry. Mary Kay Henry is the president of SEIU. She's on the committees, on the DNC's committees for the convention. In 2015, she ensured that SEIU endorsed Hillary Clinton early. SEIU donated $1 million to Priorities USA, this primary super PAC that supported Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign, in spite of Clinton's reluctance to back a $15 minimum wage. Wow. What a progressive union. Charles King is a lobbyist, close ally of Governor Andrew Cuomo, certainly no friend of the progressive movement, former executive director for the New York State Democratic Party, and a 2020 Democratic superdelegate. Wow. Gotta love the lobbyists. They're gonna be neutral. Bakari Sellers was Kamala Harris's surrogate and surrogate for Hillary Clinton in 2016. He has disingenuously insisted Bernie has a long way to go with black voters, despite contrary polling. See how Sellers welcomed Bernie to the DNC primary when he announced his 2020 campaign. I don't have a problem with Bernie getting in the race. When he's getting out is probably a better question. So, Tom Perez really looked for those people who would be the most fair to the progressive movement, and Bernie Sanders in particular. In 2015, Sellers became a member of the National Council of the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, the notorious pro-Israel government lobbying group. Oh, God. Sellers drafted, letter, and spearheaded effort in 2016 to ensure the DNC platform did not adopt language Bernie Sanders supported, which would have acknowledged responsibility to confront humanitarian crisis facing Palestinians in Gaza. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful man to have on the committees that affect who wins the nomination. Dan Shapiro is the former ambassador of the United States to the State of Israel. He backed moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem if done the right way. Unbelievable. And here's Shapiro in November 2019 championing virtues of U.S. military aid to Israel. For the record, it was a disaster to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Wendy Sherman is a senior counselor at the Albright Stonebridge Group, a business firm founded by Madeleine Albright. She was Clinton delegate on the 2016 DNC Platform Drafting Committee who voted against Medicare for All, opposing the TPP and banning fracking, while Sherman was lead negotiator for the Iran nuclear deal and has previously backed diplomacy with North Korea. During drafting of 2016's platform, Sherman opposed language on Israeli occupation and suggested BDS movement creates anti-Semitism. Jesus Christ. Craig Smith was White House political director during President Clinton's administration. He was campaign director, senior advisor to Joe Lieberman's 2004 presidential campaign. Smith was also senior advisor for the super PAC, Ready for Hillary, and later Clinton's 2016 campaign. Oh, boy. You want me to read more? I mean, goodness. Megan Stabler is a member of Democratic Majority for Israel, a group that advocates for pro-Israel Democrats. She also served on the National Board of Directors for the Human Rights Campaign. FYI, the DNC Platform Drafting Committee will define the Democratic Party's policies and priorities for domestic and foreign affairs in 2020. Next, I'll focus on some of the individuals who Perez nominated for the 2020 Democratic National Convention's Rules Committee. By the way, this is the most important committee. Maria Cardona, oh boy, is a 2020 Democratic superdelegate and a CNN and CNN en Espanol contributor. She also is a principal of the Dewey Square Group, a lobbying firm that has fought on behalf of corporate interests against progressive reforms. She's also been big on perpetuating the Bernie Bros nonsense. From The Intercept's 2016 story, Dewey Square Group worked on behalf of health insurance industry during health reform debate, even placing letters to editors in newspaper under names of elderly Massachusetts residents without their knowledge or consent. Oh my God. Maria Cardona wrote a column for Univision in March 2016, Sanders' socialism does not sit well with Florida voters. She invoked Venezuela, ignoring how U.S. policy has targeted and destabilized that country since at least 1998 because socialism was incorporated into their democracy. Maria Cardona invoked right-wing attacks to discourage support for Warren or Sanders. Quote, if Warren and Sanders remain among the top Democratic tier, Trump will continue to try to paint all Democrats as radical socialists who want to turn the U.S. into Venezuela. Actually, Elizabeth Warren started towing the military-industrial complex line on Venezuela. Bernie Sanders has stood out against it. Then you got Barney Frank on the Rules Committee, who I interviewed in 2016 and told me, you want us to unilaterally disarm Jordan? Barney Frank is a former congressman who's currently on the board of directors of Signature Bank in New York. In July 2018, New York Times examined how bank was a go-to lender for President Donald Trump's family, as well as Jared Kushner's. Oh, so Barney Frank sits on the board of that bank. Oh, no, I just lost it. Hold on. This is amazing research, by the way, by Kevin, that I'm just borrowing. Barney Frank argued against the Green New Deal in February 2019, even as the climate change threat rapidly intensified. Quote, there's an argument that you don't destabilize a society by doing too much change at once. What does he care? He'll be dead before it's all over. In July 2015, early in the primary, Barney Frank wrote a column for Politico, Why Progressives Shouldn't Support Bernie. He advocated against democracy because he believed if Sanders presented a formidable challenge to Clinton, it would weaken her. Viewed as an attack surrogate for Clinton in 2016, Bernie Sanders demanded Barney Frank be removed as head of the Rules Committee. That request was rejected. So the neutral Tom Perez decided to put him back on the Rules Committee. Sanders believed Frank had a deeper professional, political, and personal hostility towards his campaign. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms endorsed Joe Biden in June 2019. Even in November, as Biden's poll numbers sagged, she maintained he'd be the best nominee. People have long underestimated Joe Biden, and he's been consistent. Oh, my God. Great work. Great work by Kevin. So, I mean, what can you really say, folks? What can you say? Thank you, Anu, $10. Just became a member from Canada. Welcome. Thank you for the super chat, and thank you for signing up as a member. We really, really appreciate it. Carl Knight, $10. Cheers to Kevin from Shadowproof. Get him on the show sometime, Jordan. I think that's a fair idea. We'll have to reach out to him. Great reporting from him. PJ Coin, €12 from across the pond, €10. Is a mail-in vote a safe vote as we don't vote that way? I don't understand how it can't be tampered with or maybe not even counted. Honestly, I don't have the answer. I don't know if it's any less safe than showing up because there's so much messing around with our electoral system, but by golly. So I think it's a tough spot, really. Bernie Sanders is in a very tough spot right now, his campaign. 8 days before Iowa, the polls are surging for you. You're surging. Right now, the polls, you're surging in New Hampshire. If you win Iowa, if you win New Hampshire, it's a very good chance you're going to win Nevada too. If you win Iowa, if you win New Hampshire, in my view, I think Elizabeth Warren drops out. I think she wants to make she doesn't want to be embarrassed, and if she loses Iowa, if she loses New Hampshire, I don't think she wants to risk losing Nevada. I also think Elizabeth Warren has shown she is politically calculating. I think Elizabeth Warren might be delusional in her head, but more importantly, I think Bernie Sanders is enough of a mensch, enough of a good guy, that he'd, even after Elizabeth Warren stabbed him in the front, still consider her, maybe not for vice president, but for a position in his administration. Bernie, if you're watching, don't you dare. Don't you dare give her a spot. Because if she shanked you to win the presidency, you don't think she'll stab you in the front while you're president? So, to me, Bernie Sanders' campaign right now, they can't make a lot of noise about this. They got to keep their eye on the prize in Iowa. They got to keep their eye on the prize in New Hampshire. And if you start railing about DNC rigging, if you start railing about, Mr. Neutral, Tom Perez, they're only going to try to screw you even more if you start right now. But I hope his campaign, and as a teaser, I hope they don't cancel, but I'll be interviewing Nina Turner tomorrow, and this will be asked. Let's hope she doesn't cancel, but I will be interviewing Nina Turner tomorrow. She's very busy out there. I hope his campaign has a plan for this, because it really, step one is actually winning, and that's really hard in itself. Phase two is how do you actually become the nominee? Because even if you win, even if you get the most pledged delegates, that doesn't mean the DNC is not going to attempt to steal it from you. So I don't endorse Bernie Sanders' campaign going ballistic about this right now. I think they need to focus on Iowa and then focus on New Hampshire, keep the momentum, keep the attacks going on Joe Biden. But they better have a plan for this. Because Kevin, and that is amazing research by Kevin. I'm so happy he did it, so I didn't have to do any more work yesterday, because I've been working on a story with Jen that we keep telling you about, and I'm also working on other things. I really had no more energy to look into these names. He didn't do all of them, so we will look into others. But just to remind you, they literally put John Podesta on the DNC's committees. The same John Podesta, let me find it. Here it is. Same John Podesta who WikiLeaks showed in 2016 saying, Bernie, I agree with that in principle. Where would you stick the knife in? Talking about Bernie Sanders in response to a Hillary Clinton campaign person. Bernie needs to be grounded to a pulp. We can't start believing our own primary bullshit. There is no time to run the general. Crush him as hard as you can. Other than that, hope all is well. Oh, excuse me, that was a donor. I agree in principle. Where would you stick the knife in? This is who you're putting on the committee? And by the way, if you are Tom Perez, by the way, this is not just about Bernie Sanders, right? This is about defeating Donald Trump, who the Democrats, all I hear, we got to defeat Donald Trump. We got to defeat Donald Trump. You Bean 666, $10 in the super chat. Jordan, status quo. You guys are amazing journalists. Keep on fucking, especially on the corporate Democrats. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate the support. And by the way, just to remind you, if you came to this late, we got our members call Tuesday. Jen and I, statusquo.com/join. It's our monthly members call. It's a video chat. It's not through YouTube. If you've been on the members call, get in the super chat and tell people how fun it is. It is way, way too much. We give you way, way more information than we should. And it's a video call, but you don't have to be on video. So if you're not comfortable, if you want to just call in and listen, but you don't want to be on video, you could turn off your video so you don't have to be on video. You don't even have to talk. You could just listen. We have a lot of fun, and it really strengthens me, and I know Jen feels the same way, our members call, because this is a lot of work. Jen's working 7 days a week. I'm working 7 days a week. So it's really, it re-energizes us. The audience, the amount of members that have been calling in keeps going up. And it personally re-energizes me to know how appreciative people are and how much people value our work. So I hope more people will sign up today as members. Jen also uploaded a members only video for our members, so you could go check out that video. She gave you a little sneak peek into her focus on the family reporting. So keep it coming. Keep it coming. Statusquo.com/join. But to me, this is not only about Bernie Sanders and trying to screw Bernie Sanders at the convention. And make no mistake, that's what they're doing. You don't put all of these people that have publicly bashed Bernie Sanders. You don't put them on very, very big committees if you're not basically giving a middle finger to Bernie Sanders. You don't do that. So why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Because, as I've always said, these people would rather lose to Donald Trump than win with a progressive. They'd rather keep their consultant jobs. They'd rather keep their influences lobbyists. They'd rather keep on keeping on than win with a progressive. Because what is this going to do? What is this going to do? Practically. If Bernie Sanders has the most pledged delegates, but then all of these establishment people come in and rob him of the nomination, you're then going to tell those people to fall in line and vote for Joe Biden against Donald Trump? You're then going to go tell those people to fall in line and vote for Pete Buttigieg or Elizabeth Warren or Klobuchar or Bloomberg or whomever? I guarantee you. And I feel very strongly about beating Donald Trump. A lot of you don't like how strongly I feel about it. I'm even willing, if it wasn't Bernie, to vote for Elizabeth Warren. But I got news for you. Bernie supporters, if you fuck them again, are not going to vote for the Democratic nominee. The majority of them will not. I know this. Why would you... Yes, Trump is awful. But if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, why would you keep perpetuating this undemocratic system? If it's all rigged, what's the difference? Why are we going to reward the people rigging it? This is how his supporters will feel. And I got news for you. It's not going to only be white men that feel this way. Bernie bros. Melanie LS, if Bernie gets 51%, he wins. Got news for you. With Barney Frank on the Rules Committee, with John Podesta, with all these people, the rules as written now, don't think they won't try to rewrite them. He has to get more than 51%. He has to get more than 51%. But this is very concerning. And Bernie Sanders' campaign is a lot better organized now. Bernie Sanders' campaign is a lot better organized now. So I do expect that they have plans for when this happens. But I got news for you. And I don't even know if you've seen this, Jen, because you were in D.C. yesterday. She's not on, but these are the very people that are on the committee. Stephanie Cutter, who was a top advisor for Obama's campaign and then the Obama administration. She tweets out yesterday, why is Bernie Sanders allowed to get away with these lies? She's tweeting out a video from Third Way that tries to make it seem like Bernie hasn't even said how he's going to pay for Medicare for all. So I pointed out, why are folks like Stephanie Cutter, Obama's top advisor, who literally consults for the private health insurance industry, literally does marketing for Pfizer, Big Pharma, why is she allowed to distort Bernie Sanders' health care plan? There's a 100-page bill. He has outlined how he's going to pay for it. You just don't like the answer. And to my wonderful surprise, Stephanie Cutter got back to me. What's the misinformation on Medicare for All at Jordan Sheridan? I don't believe Medicare for All is the answer for this country. I also don't believe it can get done. And people need help now. This is the new shiny toy. This is their new talking point. People need help now. This is what Hillary Clinton said. People don't have time to wait for some theoretical theory. People need help now, so let's keep them down. Let's keep them on the phone with insurance companies for days. Let's keep them having to choose between groceries or paying their medical bills. That's the help we need to give them now. Don't make it a litmus test, Stephanie says. It won't work, but it will for anyone who needs help. So, I said, there's a bill in the Senate explaining exactly how it works. Sanders has also laid out several options for how to pay for it. It's interesting that Democrats like you are quick to point out that 90% of citizens want background checks, but then oppose policy that polls show 60 to 70% support. That's the hypocrisy. They elevate polls for background checks that don't threaten their business, that have 90% support, but when polls show in some cases 70% support Medicare for all, it won't work. The American people don't want it. And then I went on to say, is it possible, Stephanie, that your paid living, marketing, and consulting for healthcare companies makes your analysis slightly jaded, dare I say conflicted? The truth is, folks like you use red herrings of people, quote, need help right now to maintain the status quo. But people can't get help now when private insurance rates skyrocketed 20% in 2019. And they continue to be and private health care continues to be in the driver's seat to deny people care. You are on the side of the inhumane. Shockingly, she didn't respond when I hammered over the head with a 2x4. Not literally. But, I just pointed out, are you really, somebody who we should be taking seriously here when you consult and market for Pfizer and Humana? I don't think so. And by the way, this whole people need help right now is the same exact thing Hillary Clinton said in 2016. I was there when she was flailing her arms around. We can't wait for some theoretical grand vision that will never ever come to pass. Well, we ran on that. People need help right now. And by the way, Pete Buttigieg's plan does not help people immediately. It keeps private health insurance running the show. Same thing with Biden, same thing with Elizabeth Warren. So, I don't want to hear it. And honestly, to people like Stephanie Cutter, I'm willing to have the debate with you. I'd love to hear, why do you think this is not the best plan for America. But before I have that debate, let's be real. I am open about my bias. I am open about my conflicts. People know where I stand personally. I don't fudge facts. If Bernie Sanders should be criticized, I will. I just did it today. He was wrong to vote for the crime bill. He was. The reason I like Bernie is there's not many things I could find like that because there's not many votes he took that I can criticize. There's a whole lot of them that I could criticize on Biden, on Warren. So you can't expect politicians to be perfect. There are going to be votes you disagree with, but how do they respond? Do they lie about it like Joe Biden is lying about, trying to cut Social Security for 4 decades? Or do they own up to it, explain why, and then try to make up for it like Bernie Sanders has? Joe Biden owns up to the Iraq War vote, but then tries to fudge it and pretend, well, I didn't really vote for it thinking we were going to go to war, and then has been for all the wars since. Thank you for the super chat. Shawnee is Cubs fan 1, $4.99. Hey, Jordan, if Bernie wins the nomination, will the wealthy donors to the Democratic Party stay out, or will they break for Trump? Cheers from Illinois. That's a great question. My honest opinion, I think there's a good 30% of them that will go for Trump. They want to keep their tax cuts. They want to keep lobbyists and consultants running D.C., and they'll hold their nose for another 4 years. I truly believe that. Because make no mistake, wealthy Democrats, they fear the money train ending way more than they fear fascism. That's the truth. Thank you for the super chat. Waleed Aiza, $4.99. Do you think Bernie will, quote, bend the knee if he has the most delegates, if he gets cheated and doesn't get the nomination? That's a tough one, too. I do. I don't think we need to go there visually yet. I mean, that's not the case. But I think Bernie Sanders views Donald Trump as a grave threat. I agree with him that Donald Trump is a grave threat. And even if he gets cheated, I can see Bernie Sanders at 78 years old, knowing he doesn't have another 50 years on this earth, saying, you know what? Even though this is wrong, there's a greater wrong that we have to stop, and that's Donald Trump. I hope that is not the case, but I don't want to lie to you. I think he would. Waleed Aiza, $4.99 in the super chat. Thank you so much. So, Jen and I, when we have the time, we've both been very busy. We're going to look further into that DNC corruption because this is important. And we all know, the 800 people watching, CNN's certainly not going to be looking into it. MSNBC's certainly not going to be looking into it. And when I interview Nina tomorrow, this will be one of the first things I ask. For sure. We need to know, what does Bernie Sanders' campaign have to think about this? And more importantly, are they prepared for this? Nina might say we're focused on Iowa, but I will make sure to ask and try to get an answer out of it. So, we got 800 viewers strong. We are now at 840. 840 Status Coup members. Our goal for this live stream, we got to get to 850. We got to get to 850. And I got more original reporting to show you. So, we don't only cover the progressive movement on the national level. We cover the progressive movement on a local level too. So, earlier this week, I saw a clip of a young woman. I don't know how old she is. I think she's in her 30s. She's a mother of 4. She's from Long Island, where I'm from originally. Seems like a really nice, smart, passionate young woman, activist. She went to a local meeting for Congressman Tom Suozzi. Congressman Tom Suozzi, typical corporate Democrat, Long Island. Yeah, you look into him, fairly corrupt, if you ask me. And she went because she was a former volunteer for his campaign. She, like many people, were not really that into politics until recently, until like 2 years ago. And she went to his town hall the other day because she realized, after volunteering for his campaign, after supporting him, she got more educated and realized, oh, this guy's not out for me. He's not here to support me and my 4 children. He's not a progressive. Started researching who he is taking money from. So she went to his town hall to ask a question, make a point. And frankly, to me, she was assaulted, basically, by an older white man. So I'm going to just play the interview. I had the good fortune of interviewing her earlier. She, again, mother of 4 on Long Island, just became politically active. So check it out. I interviewed her, and I think a lot of you are going to feel, maybe you weren't assaulted, but you're going to empathize seeing how this progressive woman was treated by basically the walking dead around her at this town hall that just think it's totally fine to treat progressives this way. Here's my interview with, I'm going to mispronounce it, so I'll just play it in the interview. Hey, it's Jordan. I'm delighted to be joined by a native of Long Island, where I'm from, Aletha Shapiro. And I wanted to talk to you because I was sent this morning a clip that I thought was just like outrageous of you doing your right as a citizen. You were at a town hall for Congressman Tom Suozzi. He's from Long Island, definitely. I would call him a corporate Democrat. And you wanted to express, some grievances. So before we get into the questions, let's play the clip of what happened.
I'm not sure how a politician like you, who's taken over $1 million from corporate and super PACs in just the last 2 election cycles, is graded an A, when the grade and the premise of this organization is based on injecting corporate money. It's not just that Tom funds his campaign with corporate money, it's that his policies and votes repeatedly benefit corporate donors who in turn give him more money. I'm getting to it, but I'm giving you background information. Tom took at least $87,000 from military contractors that profit from his military funding votes, and at least $66,000 from companies that profited off his vote to expand detention centers. That's enough. Tom received at least $126,000 from the healthcare industry and refused to support any plan that would negatively impact profits like Medicare for All, which is overwhelmingly popular. Instead, he supports plans that keep costs high for individuals. Tom is also one of the few Democrats who do not take the microphone from me. I have a right to speak. I'm
Ask the question. Hey!
Tom is also one of the few Democrats to break with the party and support the repeal of Dodd-Frank and continues his efforts to weaken bank regulation. He's putting our financial security at risk for the
private property.
Excuse me. Everybody.
What are you scared of?
Just have your comments to me. Everybody have your comments to me. Take it easy, Phil. Okay. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm used to this. I'm not going to unilaterally disarm and not raise money the way I'm legally permitted to raise money. I'm not going to unilaterally disarm and not raise money the way I'm legally permitted to raise money.
First of all, before we get to that absurd manhandling, can you kind of give a background? You actually volunteered on Congressman Suozzi's campaign a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me and letting me tell my story. I think it's really important for people across the country to hear from a woman's voice on what happened. I think it's a lesson that everyone can learn from. So I volunteered for Congressman Suozzi. Well, let me back up. At the time of the election in 2016, I was completely, the typical story. uninvolved politically. I didn't even know my congressman's name. I really didn't know anything about politics. I didn't even know how many senators we have in New York. I was completely ignorant. I'm a mom with 4 kids. I was just doing the mom thing and, trying to get through the days. So at the time of the election, obviously, like a lot of people, I woke up. So right after the election, Congressman Suozzi held his first town hall in February of 2017. And from that moment on, I was woke and I was hooked to get involved.
Mm-hmm. And Suozzi, kind of similar to traditional Democratic Party folks, talks a good game on, the middle class and this and that. But after volunteering for his campaign, you started to find out, oh, well, the rhetoric's not matching the money he's taking.
Exactly. I mean, I thought that if you're a Democrat, you're a good guy, and I have over the last 3 years, I've become more educated and I've become way more involved and I've went to tons of protests and, such an education process. And this summer, I started to realize that not all Democrats are created equal and that we need to elect better Democrats. And so when I started to really, pay attention and seeing how, things were changing over the summer with like immigration votes and just the talk started happening about corporate money and, people started announcing their candidacies for 2020. I started to pay attention and start to understand about this whole money and politics thing. And so I was, very wooed by Congressman Suozzi. He's a great talker. He's a great schmoozer. He talks a really good game. He held town halls all the time. And I started noticing it was always the same script every time. He would talk about being primaried from the left and that you have to have civility and work together. He's the vice chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. And, for someone who doesn't really know a lot and you're not paying attention, it sounds good. You're kind of like, yeah, civility. But like, these are not normal times right now. While civility is great, we should not be making deals with the devil, with the Republicans. And so that's what he does. He works hand in hand with the Problem Solvers Caucus. And oftentimes he votes on behalf and votes with the Republicans instead of voting on behalf of his constituents' voices, which is so offensive in these times. Mm-hmm. So that was just a really big eye-opening experience for me. And the biggest aha moment for me was when he went down to the border with a bunch of the problem solvers and a bunch of the Congress delegation back in July. And I actually went to the border a week after they went. After AOC went and some of the squad went, me and my friend at the time, who was actually going to be challenging Congressman Suozzi, Melanie Dorigo, we went to the border to volunteer. And it was right after that humanitarian vote happened in June. And the Problem Solvers Caucus was primarily responsible for that humanitarian vote, the protections from migrants being stripped. And so that was the moment where I was enraged. After I saw what happened at the border, I don't know how he could do that, how he can vote to strip protections for migrants, increase money for ICE, and just take away the oversight that Pelosi was trying to, put in the bill. Mm-hmm. And so that was the aha moment for me.
So I want to get to the town hall because all I hear from the traditional Democratic Party is we have to appeal to women of color and transgender people and all of these kind of groups, which I'm all for. I agree. But you're a woman of color. You go to a town hall. Nobody said you have to ask a question in 10 seconds. I mean, mm-hmm. You're paying his salary. So you stand up, I believe, after several men stood up and asked whatever their questions was. And yeah, you pointed out that there were some things that you kind of found objectionable. And all of a sudden, some white dude comes up and, I mean, from the looks of it, I wasn't there. I mean, touches you and gets in your face. And in the video, I mean, you see Suozzi, instead of trying to stop it and say, let her finish, is kind of laughing it off. I mean, how did you feel? And it seems like, and I've experienced this because I go on the campaign trail, and I'm fairly progressive. People, some older establishment people don't like the way I do things. You know, the crowd was not so happy that you dared point out his donations and that kind of thing. I mean, how did you feel in that moment? It was really one against a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there was probably around 10 questions that were asked. I was the fourth question, so there were 3 men before me and a woman after me, and then 5 other men. Well, the most shocking part about it is that every single man spoke for a minimum of 5 minutes. Someone on 15 minutes, rambling, asking very important questions. I did not speak for more than 40 seconds. I was attacked at the 120 mark. It's absolutely enraging and horrifying. And, you know, I couldn't believe it was happening to me, you know, like it was such a horrifying experience that time slowed down when it was happening. And all I kept on thinking was, oh my God, nobody's going to stop this. Why is nobody jumping in? Why is nobody helping me? And, you know, unfortunately for Congressman Suozzi and for the men and the man who attacked me, like they messed with the absolute wrong woman, because I've been to protests. I had just finished this weekend, the Indivisibles book. I know how to bird dog politicians. I go to DC all the time. I ask senators and congresspeople all the time. So they thought that they were going to intimidate me and silence my voice as a woman of color, as a woman, but they messed with the wrong woman. And so, you know, when I saw the man coming at me, my instinct was, you know, to rip the microphone back and stand my ground. And that's exactly what I did. And I didn't know, you know, at that split second I had to make a decision. Do I persevere or do I stop? You know, I didn't know what to do. And so my reaction was to keep on going. Did it just get interrupted?
You froze for a second.
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
you're back. Go ahead.
Okay, so so my reaction was to keep on going. And, you know, the crazy thing is that, you know, like the fight or flight, you know, some people run into the burning building and some people run out. And even if you were like shocked and taken aback, like Congressman Suozzi's reaction was to let it happen. You know, even if I was asking him a hard question, he could have been like, all right, let's hear her out. You know, we can't do this. But instead he allowed it to happen. You know, he was a bystander, and not only was he a bystander, but he enjoyed it. You could see him smirking in the videos because luckily we have different angles. You could see him making eye contact with people in the crowd. I don't know who it was. He was laughing. And at the end, he made a joke on my behalf about the situation, and the whole crowd laughed. And it was just so horrendous. And it reminded me, I went to Kavanaugh to protest Kavanaugh for 2 weeks, you know, in 2018. And it reminded me what a lot of the women were saying about the laughing. They remember the laughing. I just couldn't believe that a room of men would do this to a woman, how a man would attack a woman. And quite honest, the part that upset me the most was the women in the crowd that abandoned me and were heckling me and, you know, like cheering the men on. Like, I just cannot believe that it happened to me. You know, it was so horrifying. And truthfully, it signals like the epitome of misogyny, toxic masculinity, and like the pervasiveness in our society of just silencing women's voices and silencing women of color. And, you know, if anybody knows me, I use my social media all the time to uplift marginalized communities and to talk about these topics. And so it's almost like everything that I have went through in the last few years, all the education and experience I've had led up to this moment where it was all these different, you know, progressive movement, you know, platforms and issues were all like in one moment. And so I feel like I need to use my voice to like show people that this is not okay. You do not silence women who are speaking truth to power. And also to just show people, you know, how you go to a town hall, how you ask your representatives questions. You know, some people said, oh, why was she reading off her paper? Why did she take so long? I don't think people realize like what town halls are like. You know, a lot of people read off papers because they want to have their facts. Some people are nervous. And all of the men gave a lot of background information before you ask your question. You don't just go into your question. You have to build it up. You have to like explain to people in the room why you're asking this question. And so what was mind-boggling for me was I was a Democrat in a room of Democrats. And I don't even know if these people made the connection. Like the point of my question was lost because I was assaulted and I was attacked. Like, so I think that people didn't even realize like what I was trying to get at. Like Congressman Suozzi takes over $1 million of corporate PAC money. How do we know that he's representing our voices and not his corporate donors? And I was trying to like teach the people and explain that this is not okay. And we should expect better from our Democrat representatives. And at one point he actually said to me, I need this money because I need to win a campaign and beat the people that you are supporting. And so, yeah, damn right. I'm supporting progressives. I'm supporting Melanie DeRigo because that's what progressives are fighting for, getting corporate money out of politics. Yeah, instead of like saying I'm fighting against Republicans who are ruining our country, he's fighting against the good guys.
I want to ask you, because you mentioned the silencing of women, and to me, watching that clip, I think if a woman of a similar age, demographic stood up and, talked about, the impeachment hearing and how evil Trump is, I think he would have let her go on for 20 minutes. To me, they're really scared of an intelligent, aggressive woman who follows the money, because you actually are doing the research and following the money. So I think it's both silencing a woman who is not, women care about money in politics, just like men. Women care about economic issues. Women care about corruption. It's not only abortion and these things, which I think is what the Democratic Party is focused on. What are your thoughts on that? Because frankly, it looks like to me, you look at a Democratic Party town hall with Tom Suozzi maybe 10 years ago, I don't think you would have had as many young people there who know about money in politics, or even young people there to begin with.
Yeah, for sure. I think that this is a recurring theme that's happening now, silencing women of color, silencing the squad. All they do is get hate because they are strong women who are shining the light on truths, who are uncorruptible, who are, representing the real people, who are representing and voting based on their morals and not on political expediency, and they're rocking the boat. And I think that was the problem. I think that I rocked the boat in the town hall, and the people that were there were a lot of his supporters, and so, but it's crazy because a lot of the other questions were rocking the boat too. There was tons of Medicare for all questions. So I don't know exactly what it was about me. But I think that they probably thought that I was, younger than I am, and just, a woman who could be, intimidated or threatened. But
do you think there's an element? I mean, you mentioned toxic masculinity, but there's also an element of kind of patriarchy where you have a lot of older men in that crowd who kind of look at it as like, know your place.
Yeah, I think that that's kind of what Congressman Suozzi is also, like I've heard this about him and I've watched a pattern, and honestly, like I tried to repress these feelings at first because I thought, no, as long as I have a Democrat representative, like I'm good. I was so panicked at the time of the 2018 election. Like I didn't care what I had to do. As long as I kept my Democrat representative, like I was all in. Like I wrote, 400 postcards for him. I was one of the field organizers for my area. I was in charge of his Facebook group. And so, I was focused on that. And so when I started noticing, some questionable stances of his or questionable, like I started questioning his ethics or his values, like I was just like, all right, but we need a Democrat in there. Because there was no alternative. Mm-hmm. But I never thought that I would be able to have an amazing representative who is more aligned with my values. And so now that like there's a progressive woman running in my area, I mean, I'm so excited. Like we need to bring the progressive movement to Long Island. Mm-hmm. It's become like very popular in New York City with AOC's win, but we need to bring it out to Long Island, which is like, could be a difficult place to live,
Yeah. No, crazy, but it's very Trump country in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, you said, you know, uh, ignorant of politics before. Personally for you, I mean, you have 4 children. I don't know your age, but you seem young. How does all this affect you that you became so passionate? Because you're going to DC all the time. You seem to be like
Yeah.
living and breathing this. I assume 4 children, Long Island, it isn't
Yeah.
cheap. You see, Long Island has had a lot of water problems lately, a lot of corruption. What personally for you, why are you so into politics, and how does it, this money in politics issue, how is it affecting you personally?
So, they always say that like you need to have something, a personal story that like hooks you. Yeah, so I have 4 kids, and between my third and fourth, I actually had to terminate a pregnancy, which was like devastating. It was the worst experience of my life, and that was, my wake up moment. And it happened like right like as we were like getting into the election, and so right after the inauguration, when he started to talk about wanting to defund, Trump started talking about wanting to defund Planned Parenthood, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get involved. Like I have to like stand up for women. Thank God I live where I do, and I had family support, and I had good health insurance. I was able to, make this horrible situation doable. But for me, that was like my aha moment. And then from that moment on, I was also like really inspired because I wanted to like learn more about our country, what was going on, and why did some people vote for him. We ended up, which is my one of the biggest accomplishments of my life, me, my husband, and my 4 kids, we ended up traveling in an RV, and we did all 50 states in 16 months.
Wow.
And so it was an amazing experience. And so we got to see America. I got to get out of the bubble of the coasts, the coastal elites. I got to see how the rest of the country lives. And, I got to meet people and see it with my own eyes. And I started to recognize that it's confusing. There's a lot, everyone has a lot of, everyone is different. And so from that moment on, I started to get more involved. I started to go to protests in DC. And, like once you're in, it becomes, it became a passion of mine. When I went to Kavanaugh, I was there with the Women's March and was Senator of Popular Democracy. I met Anna Maria Archila, the lady who confronted Jeff Flake, who was so inspirational to me. I've met AOC sometimes. When I go to DC, all the squad, like these women fill my bucket, and they, it's like they have brought this energy and inspiration out that I never knew existed. And I'm so thankful for these new leaders and AOC, she shines light on the corruption all the time on her Twitter. It's constantly educating. And so, it's about just becoming, educated and keep on digging deep and not accepting. And when you see corruption, you call it out, and you just kind of try to like learn about these things.
And last question, I see a Bernie sign behind you, so I assume you're kind of in the trenches now. Obviously, 10 days to Iowa. It seems like what happened with you is happening on a national level, maybe hopefully not the assault part, but the young people kind of realizing like, wow, this is all affecting me. What are you seeing? Because honestly, some more establishment campaigns nationally, the media is kind of framing people like you, particularly on social media, as like Bernie bros, and they're harsh, and they're divisive, when most people are finally just fighting back against this oppressive plutocracy. What are your thoughts as we head into Iowa?
So it's actually really interesting. I voted for Hillary. My husband actually voted for Trump.
Okay.
And
as did my father. So.
Yeah. But he is a recovering Trump voter. He is now registered Democrat, and it's been a really amazing thing to watch my husband's evolution. We went to Bernie's rally in Queens in this fall, and that was my aha moment and my husband's aha moment. Bernie's message is undeniable. If you listen to him, he breaks it down And he explains that we literally need to burn it down and start all over again. And, his message, he fights for all the people. And, it's just, we need to fight back. The 99% need to come and fight back against the 1%. Not even the 1%, the tippy tops of the 1%. We need to, take the power back and put the power in the hands of the people. And Bernie has stood the test of time, and he has, amazing coalitions. A lot of the movement leaders that I really, I value their opinions, the squad and CPD has endorsed them. It's just all these people in the progressive movement are putting their support behind him. And that made a difference for me, to be honest. I was going back and forth for a while in the fall with Bernie and Warren. And as much as I would love to see a woman be president, I think AOC will be the first president. So I'm okay waiting for her. But I think right now Bernie Sanders is exactly the voice and the movement. He represents what we need to do to really fix and save our democracy.
Thank you so much for taking the time. I love talking to people who are actually going beyond Twitter and doing it in person. Next time I'm home on Long Island, hopefully we'll connect, because honestly, there is a lot of places like Long Island that are kind of, right next to major progressive pockets like New York City. And the young people are trying to bring that progressiveness that's exploding in the metropolitan areas to suburbia.
Like you said, actually, the progressive platform actually polls very well in Long Island. People don't realize how popular it is. A lot of this stuff is honestly common sense. Mm-hmm. It's the way you explain the message. It's not about the words. It's about the message. And a lot of these things on Long Island do resonate with the people. Healthcare, the environment, living wage, all this stuff, gun reform. So I think that, with the right candidates who are, like Melanie, if you could have the right candidate who can, who's motivational and who can really galvanize the people and who's authentic, I think that the progressive movement honestly can do well on Long Island. And I really do believe in it. And I'm really excited for 2020.
And give the candidate you're supporting on Long Island one more time. Who is
Melanie Dorigo.
Melanie Dorigo. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll keep in contact.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.
Status quo.
That was Aletha Shapiro. Really enjoyed speaking with her, and we would love to do more stories like that. The progressive fight is not only against Joe Biden, it's not only against the Democratic Party, the DNC, Trump. It's happening on a local level, and a lot of you are experiencing it. A lot of you are experiencing it when you go to your local city council meetings, when you go to your local congressional events, the animosity progressives face against the old guard. And the Democratic establishment. And honestly, who the hell is this man to put his hands on anyone at a political event? Much less a woman who's not doing anything wrong. She pays that congressman's salary. She could say whatever the hell she wants. So I'm glad we were able to interview her. And, people like her is how we're going to both wake more people up, but also throw these bums out of office. And I think a lot of people are like her in terms of kind of, we're parents, busy all the time, politics, they're all dirty, they're all whatever. I don't pay attention to that. And something woke them up, something that happened to them personally or happened to someone they love. And during that time, they saw Bernie, they saw other local progressives, and now they're hooked and joining the fight. The problem is most people are not awake because the corporate media keeps people uninformed, keeps people numb. So that's why alternative media makes a big difference, as well as local organizing makes a big, big difference. So in some sad news, not really political, but if you like basketball, it looks like it's confirmed that all-time NBA legend Kobe Bryant has died. I think literally LeBron James just passed Kobe Bryant on the all-time shooting list last night. It looks like Kobe Bryant with several other people were involved in a plane crash this morning, helicopter crash this morning, and from everything I'm seeing, it seems like multiple outlets have confirmed it now that he has died. So, just terrible. Sorry for his family. His wife was not on board, so that's obviously positive. I don't know much about Kobe Bryant, like personally. I only know he was an amazing basketball player, but terrible news. So, our condolences. We're going to keep going. Sorry to shift from an uplifting interview to that sad news to hopefully something that will excite you. So this is how Status Coup does it. Jamal, who has been doing, as a freelancer, has been doing some events for us as camera. He went to South Bend with me, doing camera work for me, editing. I asked him, since we have so much more in the field reporting, I asked him to shoot a new promo video for edit a new promo video for us of us on the campaign trail to promote it. Since we're still on the campaign trail, we want people to know what we've been doing and hopefully get more people to sign up as members. We still got 700 people watching. We're now at, sorry, the screen's going black for a second, but got to update. So we are now at, let's see, Colin just sent it to me. If my computer will unfreeze. 1 second. We're now at 841 Status Coup members. So we're 9 away from 850, which would be awesome today. So straight up, I haven't even seen the video. This is the first cut. I might have Jamal do some revisions, but you're going to see the first cut, at least, for our new promo video. I haven't seen it, so this is how I roll. I'm just turning it around and showing you, so you'll get a little sneak peek. We might want some revisions, but we'll see. So, excuse me, I got to load it. So the screen's going to go black for a second, but this is our latest promo video of our reporting in the field.
The American people, they will not be stopped. Numbers, they don't lie. President Trump's agenda is an epic success. And
sign pretty much sums up the sentiment. Donald Trump is a warrior, bravely withstanding the mainstream media's efforts to bring him down.
Yeah, I think the nasty language, it's on both sides. I mean, if they call him a gangster, a traitor. I mean, so we can play that game all night long. But I do want to.
USA looking at South Bend as downtown. But if you just look out here, my window, the west side's town, you don't see what you hear about, oh, it's beautiful.
All the way up. It's like my comrade said, we had 500,000 out in the streets. We need 10 times that number coming up.
Money for jobs and education.
Not for wars and occupation.
Money for jobs and education.
It's very similar in parts of Detroit, Flint, Cleveland, happening everywhere. Or tearing down certain communities where certain classes of people live. No plans to rebuild.
The homeless need a voice out there, need to help get these people the programs they need and the housing they need to start another life.
We are the deliverers of freedom and liberty across the planet. That is a lie. That is a lie we learn and are justified every day. We are vindicated in that lie every single day. Turn on the news and see U.S. missiles landing on Yemen. Turn on the news and see U.S. missiles landing on civilians all over the world. No justice, no peace.
Damn good. Damn good. So that is our latest promo video. Might be some revisions here and there, but pretty good, if I don't say so myself. So if you want more of our reporting in the field, because it ain't cheap, we've been able to do a lot with very little. Sign up, statuscoup.com/join. There is a long campaign ahead. We got to fund reporting in New Hampshire. I would like to be able to report in the field in Nevada. I would like to be able to report in the field in South Carolina. I would love to report on Super Tuesday. I don't think we're going to be able to report from 10 places, but maybe one. But it costs money. It all costs money. So the only way to do it is with you. The only way to do it is with you. We are moving up. 841. It is really, really amazing that we've been able to do this all in, Status Coup is about a year and a half old, maybe a little more than a year and a half, not 2 years yet. And we've done this with you. We had an initial investment of $50,000 from a viewer who I had met at a conference 2 years ago. He owns a tech company, not a plutocrat, certainly not a lavish Democratic Party or Republican Party donor. Not finance, not big pharma, not big real estate, not fossil fuckers. And that money, the $50,000 we got in the beginning, we spent on equipment and at the time bringing Ty on. But after that, which again, $50,000, although it was great, it is not a ton of money to start a company. Again, just the equipment itself it cost us close to $30,000. But it's really amazing that we've been able to grow this much, and it really shows that people are desperate for actual, real reporting. So we're going to keep providing it. We could only provide it based on the money we have, so we kind of have to pick and choose our spots where we go. But we're working hard to keep on keeping on. So if you've been on the fence, for those of you that aren't members yet, it's not just for us. You get bonus content, including our monthly members call, which you could sign up at statuscoup.com/join. Again, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as $5 a month. That's $5 a month. Makes a big, big difference. So, last story of the day. So, and by the way, it's not, let's give credit where credit is due. My lovely girlfriend, who's not on the payroll, helps out too. She spreads our stuff to Facebook groups. She's always sending me ideas for events to cover, sending me stories to cover. And she's always in the super chat for us. So we appreciate and love you a lot. So, lastly, I keep hearing, only thing that matters is defeating Donald Trump. I don't care who defeats Donald Trump. The only thing that matters is defeating Donald Trump. I will go with Lucifer himself if it defeats Donald Trump. And you would have to think that if this is true, if the Democratic Party establishment, if Tom Perez, if older people supporting Joe Biden, if older people supporting, Amy Klobuchar, if the main goal is to defeat Donald Trump, then they would take very seriously signals and signs of who is best positioned to defeat Donald Trump. A lot of the Democratic Party establishment, including some older people I know, related to some people I know, ignore polls altogether. Oh, if a poll shows Bernie better head-to-head, well, you just wait till they call him a communist. They don't care. Polls don't matter. Facts don't matter. It don't matter. But I tend to think, listen, Donald Trump, horrible human being. Donald Trump, even worse, leader corrupt as hell. I actually disagree with some of my friends on the progressive left. Whatever, you think impeachment's going to help or hurt him? Whatever. He has committed impeachable offenses, including Ukraine. So I personally don't buy into this, like, let's not impeach him, it will help him win re-election. You got to impeach somebody if they are brazenly breaking all sorts of laws, and if they are basically trying to sell the United States government and bribe foreign leaders for their own political gain. Like, you can't just be numb to corruption, whether it's the Democrats being corrupt or the Republicans, because obviously Republicans are equally, if not worse, corrupt. So, obviously, Donald Trump needs to be removed. But I personally think it's kind of significant. Who does Donald Trump actually fear the most? Because say what you want about Donald Trump, he is a brilliant political mind. He is very, very good political instincts. I said, people who don't believe me, but you can remember if you watch me at Young Turks, I said Hillary Clinton lost the election when she picked Tim Kaine as her vice president. If she would have picked, Bernie, obviously, if she would have picked maybe Warren at the time, I think she would have won. I think enough progressives would have come back on board. I think enough young people. She lost 6% of those age 18 to 29. Age 18 to 29, she lost 6% from Obama in 2012. Hillary Clinton lost 6% in 2016 compared to Obama in 2012. Thank you, Stacy Solano, $25. I don't use PayPal or Stripe, so can't join. Oh, that's too bad. Well, thanks for the super chat. Anyway, we really appreciate it. That's fine. So, let me get this straight. And by the way, Stacy, email us, info@statuscoup.com. There might be a way. So, but thank you for the super chat. So, Donald Trump clearly understood, contrary to what Rachel Maddow says, what some deranged people say, it wasn't Putin, it was NAFTA. I was there, I saw it. Donald Trump had the people in Michigan, in Wisconsin, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio. He had them at NAFTA. So Donald Trump understood the key issue is deindustrialization in these states. The key issue is the offshoring of jobs. The key issue is these folks who used to be able to support a family on one factory job, on one manufacturing job, on one steel job, now have to work 2 to 3 jobs, including Ubering. These people used to have good union benefits and health care, and now they don't because their jobs have been sold. He understood this is how you attack the Democratic establishment. Other Republicans couldn't attack Hillary or the Democrats on that because most Republicans are for these disastrous free trade deals. So Donald Trump understands what he needs, what the message has to be to attract these people in the Midwest. Well, on a recent tape of Donald Trump with Lev Parnas, this associate of Rudy Giuliani, everybody is focused on Trump demanding that the Ukrainian ambassador be fired. This was in 2018. But he also said something that the media is not paying much attention to, and I think gives away that he is very, very scared of Bernie Sanders. From the audio, Obama would have been much easier second term. Romney should have never lost, Trump is heard saying, referring to GOP nominee Mitt Romney. When asked directly if he meant easier than Clinton, Trump responds, I think so. But Trump later says, had Clinton picked primary rival Bernie Sanders for vice president, she would have been much tougher. She picked Kaine as her running mate instead. Trump says he ended up getting 20% of the Bernie vote because of trade. I don't know where he's getting that 20% number, but he did get a good amount of Bernie supporters because of trade. And I quote from Donald Trump on this recording, because he's a big trade guy. You know, he basically says we're getting screwed on trade. And he's right. He was the only one I didn't want her to pick. Of course, the media is not covering this because it goes directly against their narrative. Donald Trump, right there, is telling you Bernie Sanders is the only politician that he was scared of Hillary Clinton picking because Bernie Sanders neutralizes Donald Trump's message on trade. Bernie Sanders, I don't know if it would have worked because Hillary Clinton would have still been at the front of the ticket, but Bernie Sanders is the only candidate that takes that issue, not only takes it off the issue, but appeals to Trump voters. Imagine if you're a Trump voter. Imagine if you're one of those Obama voters who voted for Obama once or twice, but then switched to Trump. And the reason you switched from Obama to Trump is because of the message on NAFTA and trade. Maybe you're annoyed with the other things Trump is doing, the tweeting, the warmongering now, the tax cuts for the wealthy. 83% of his tax cut went to the top 1%. But you like his message on trade. Well, what if a Democratic candidate comes in that is not only better on those other things that you don't like Trump is doing, is not only a lunatic on Twitter, is not a lunatic on Twitter and does all these vile things, but he's better than Trump on trade. He's been more consistent for longer than Trump against these trade deals. He's actually against financial penalties against these companies, real financial penalties against these companies that sell your jobs and futures to China and Mexico. He's voted against all of these trade deals. Well, that's a guy that might be tough competition to the people who wear hard hats in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, don't you think? And this is why, contrary to what the media keeps pushing, based on nothing, Donald Trump is not most concerned about Joe Biden. He is going to call him TPP Joe. He's going to call him NAFTA Joe. He's going to call him Comcast Joe. Comcast infamous for their union busting. So, right there he's telling you, I'm a little worried about Bernie Sanders. There are other news reports that have come out that Trump is obsessively asking his advisors for updates on Bernie Sanders polling. What is Trump going to endorse? What is Trump going to attack Bernie on? That he's a communist? That he's a socialist? Fine. He's quoted right there saying he's damn right about trade. I'm not saying that the people in the Midwest, that's the only thing they care about, but if you actually read the exit polls, each state has their own exit polls. I read them in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. Pennsylvania. Trade and immigration were the top issues for those states. And immigration was tied to trade. Because Donald Trump was able to convince these people it's the Mexicans stealing your jobs, which is not true, but I digress. This, to me, of all the things the corporate media ignores and covers up, if they rig this thing again, if they steal it from Bernie, I am saving this as an I told you so. Because Donald Trump, right here, right now, is openly telling you he is scared shitless politically of Bernie Sanders. Because there's nothing credible he could run against Bernie Sanders. The Cold War, warmongering, he's a Soviet sympathizer. I don't think that's as effective as it might have been in the 2000s. I just don't think so. And if Bernie Sanders is the nominee, by the way, I mean, you're going to have young people voting in numbers that you have not seen since George McGovern, who got wiped out. But he got wiped out for a lot of reasons. Bernie Sanders is going to have so many young people that even if Donald Trump were able to suppress the vote among some older people, I think Bernie Sanders would still win. I think Bernie Sanders would have not only young people, but Bernie Sanders does incredibly well among independents. And let me tell you something. if somebody in Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, but in all places. And now the confirmation is coming in more from more places that tragically basketball legend Kobe Bryant has passed away from a helicopter crash. Terrible. But if Donald Trump, I just don't think those people are going to buy into this. He's a communist, he's a socialist, because that whole universal health care thing's pretty attractive. If that's communism and socialism, sign me up. People are hurting. And I don't think the fear-mongering and the Cold War-mongering and the Russia-mongering and the Soviet-mongering has the same effect. So, I think Joe Biden's campaign needs to be asked about this. How are you most electable if Bernie Sanders is on the record? Excuse me, Donald Trump is on the record saying he's most scared of Bernie. Good point. Even Tucker Carlson, don't be sure Trump beats Bernie. You know, my father, I love him, one of the most deranged Trump supporters I've ever met. Honestly, he only cares about Trump because he only cares about Israel. And my dad, God bless him, is a major Zionist, thinks Israel could do no wrong. Fuck yeah, the embassy was moved. That's my father. I love him. I don't agree with him, but I love him. Even he said to me, you know, Jordan, I'll tell you, if Bernie wins, he could beat Trump. He could beat Trump. Remember this for your neoliberal aunties out there, for your Joe Biden loving uncles. Show them this, folks. He was the only one I didn't want her to pick. And you want to know something? If Hillary Clinton picked Bernie Sanders, she would have won in a electoral landslide. And that's the problem with neoliberalism, folks. It's not exclusively about winning. It's exclusively about keeping the money flowing for the few. So Hillary Clinton, the Democratic Party, knowingly made decisions that they knew would not excite the base, that they knew was not best to beat Trump. But because they're so out of touch, they're so disconnected from actual living, breathing American people, and I include the media in this, by the way, they made these decisions anyway. So, that's the deal. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled, but we will have an interview with Nina Turner tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. We got other reporting. Marcus is on the ground in Iowa, T-minus 8 days till the Iowa caucus, so we have more reporting that he's done. He's going to a Biden event right now. He went to a Biden event last night. He couldn't upload them in time for the live stream because he's going all over the place, a lot of driving involved. So we'll have more interviews. Marcus on the campaign trail with Biden. Up in the air right now. I might go to Iowa, or I might just wait till New Hampshire and go there. I'll definitely be in New Hampshire before the primary. But thank you for watching. We had a really great audience today. We got so far 8 new members. I'd love to get a couple more members before I sign off. We're going to do a quick Q&A with our folks. We always seem to get a couple new members at the end. So if you haven't signed up, sign up. 841 members. We are having our members call Tuesday. So if you sign up today or Monday, you will be on our members call. You'll get a link. It's not on YouTube. It's on Zoom. statuscoup.com/join. Do it. All right. Couple questions, comments, concerns. Let's hit it. Obviously, super chats I'll read first. I'm a boomer for Bernie, MT says. I hear that a lot. So sad. Kobe was my favorite hockey player. Dizzy. You know he was a basketball player. Don't be mean. Bernie will beat Trump by a landslide, Mike says. I think it would be a colossal landslide of epic proportions. Flash Gordon, Bobby Kennedy also earned the black vote because he was for civil rights in the trenches. Correct. Kelly Elaine, Bernie will bring many Republicans into the fold in the private voting booth. Won't admit it, but will vote for him. You know, Kelly, that's very interesting because when I was at the Young Turks and I went around, a lot of people at the rallies for Trump, I asked them number 2, who's your number 2? Wasn't Ted Cruz, Carly Fiorina, Herman Cain, or whatever other freak show was running. Bernie Sanders. These were Republicans. The primary is Bernie's problem, not the general. Henry, dead right, Jordan. Okay. Mr. Shiggity, Joe Biden is designed to lose to Trump for boomers in the Democratic Party. That should not be in this Democratic Party. Bernie beats Trump. Thanks, Marcus. Actually, the World War II generation voted for Jimmy Carter, not Reagan. Hannah Pause. Do you know about the Movement for a People's Party? I do. I've interviewed Nick Brana before. And Zoo, got to go train some volunteers. That came in. Bye all. God bless you. And Shay, would status quo accept dark money from our revolution? I would accept public money from our revolution. I wouldn't accept dark money. But to tell you the truth, and again, I have said this. I think our revolution should disclose its top donors, but like Pete Buttigieg, like trying to make it seem like they're taking dark money. No, like dark money. Our revolution isn't like. You think Warren Buffett is giving money to our revolution? You think Bill Gates is giving money to our revolution? Like, have some common sense. It's a group calling for Medicare for all, a Green New Deal, ending private prisons. Like. Their donors are not, a who's who of the Democratic Party elite. But I call them out anyway. They should disclose their top donors. And according to them, they're going to be updating it soon. Come on, John Wick. Bernie won't win? Oh, I missed that. Bernie won't win every state? I don't think he's going to win every state. Mr. Shiggity, I believe that Texas could turn blue in 2020 or 2024. Maybe 2024. I think 2020 is a stretch, but I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. Remember, folks, we're just 9 members away from 850. Can I get a couple new members? Hallelujah. Statuscoup.com/join. Probably half of Republican voters are progressive issue by issue, Sydney says. I got news for you, Sydney. 60 to 70% of all voters are progressive by the issue. Democrat establishment and Republican. 4 presidential runs for Biden. Correct. John Wick, what are you drinking? Iced coffee. Hannah Pauls, interview Nick Brana again. All right, we'll work it in. Custodian Color Zoo, you left out that in Parnas recording, Trump and gang laugh at Biden running for president after the Bernie part. I didn't actually hear the recording. I've read the story, so I'll have to look at that. Thanks for telling me. The two-party system is breaking itself by appealing to well under 30% of the entire U.S. electorate. Couldn't agree more, and that's why they are hardcore trying to maintain it as a two-party system. Psst, Z, how's SC looking? Status quo is looking. What do they say? The state of our union is.
I think they mean South
Oh,
Carolina.
how's South Carolina looking? I am going to tell you how South Carolina is looking. If Bernie Sanders wins the state of Iowa, if Bernie Sanders wins the state of New Hampshire, if Bernie Sanders wins the state of Nevada, he will not win South Carolina. I'm just being honest. However, it's the voter base is predominantly older, predominantly African American, and I'm not criticizing, but African American voters are traditionally risk averse, and they deem Bernie Sanders as a risk. They also are kind of hoodwinked that Joe Biden is their friend, and they also have a lot of love for Barack Obama. With that said, to me, sometimes you win even when you lose. if Biden were to lose Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, obviously South Carolina is a must win for him anyway. But it's not just that it's a must win. He's got to win convincingly. If Bernie Sanders were to lose South Carolina, even by 10 points, that's a victory for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders got crushed in South Carolina in 2016. If Biden, after losing the first 3 states, does not crush his next opponent by at least 15 to 20 points, I think it's a loss, perception-wise. Remember, Bernie Sanders won New Hampshire by 20 points over Hillary Clinton. So, to me, if Biden loses the first 3 states, not only is it a must-win for him to actually win it, which I think he still would, it's a must-win for him to double-digit, to basically say, the first 3 states, it was always going to be bad for me. Now we're in a state how America actually looks, and I'm crushing. And here's why. And he would take that into Super Tuesday. So that's how South Carolina is looking. Thank you for the $5. Jude Lerich, $4.99. R.I.P. Kobe Bryant. I agree. It's terrible. I can't even believe that. Can't even believe that. And it's crazy if you watch basketball. LeBron James, a legend also, just passed Kobe Bryant last night on the all-time points, all-time scoring list. So Kobe Bryant was number 3, and LeBron James just passed him to take number 3 last night. And now this. It's terrible. Terrible loss for his family. He's got kids. It's just awful. I don't know who was on the plane with him. I know his wife wasn't, from what I read. I don't know about anyone else. I hope nobody else in his family. It's hard to tell how popular many politicians are in a rigged system. It's hard to tell not only in a rigged system, but in a media that hides it. That's why Status Coup is so important. Hint, hint, statuscoup.com/join. Become a member for as low as a cup of coffee a month. Guys, I also want to share with you a moral dilemma for a second. I also want to share a moral dilemma for you. So I've been trying pretty much gluten-free. I've been trying gluten-free. For those of you that don't know, I have a bit of an issue with fatigue. I don't know if it's sleep. I don't know if it's fatigue. So I've been trying to cut out gluten as much as possible out of my diet. Because I notice when I have pizza, when I have sandwiches, bread, that I get tired and my energy crashes. Not like to the point of having celiac disease, but definitely like my energy crashes. But there's some things that just taste so good. Thanis Anektakumpo, somebody just asked me to say. There's some things that just taste so good, and I've been live for like 3.5 hours now, and I really, really want a sandwich from Firehouse Subs. I don't know if you have Firehouse Subs, but it's a great sandwich place. It's nearby where I am now, but my girlfriend's saying no. I can't have it. The humanity of it all. I'm going to a pharmacist/nutritionist this week. Hit the weights, Jordan, if you can. Well, it's kind of hard if you're tired. Jordan, gluten isn't what's causing your fatigue. It's carbs. Well, isn't carbs and gluten similar? Aren't they from the same family? Am I wrong? Firehouse tastes great, not organic. That's true. Oh, by the way, where I am right now has an entire aisle just for gluten-free. I've never seen anything like it before. Firehouse was trying to unionize in Texas. That's good. Anyway, off of that for a second. Do steroids. They work, and they're awesome. No thanks. So, Try an all-gluten diet. No. No steroids for me. All right. I'm an omnivore. Eat more vegetables. I'll take a couple more questions. Reminder, I'm going to remind you once again, we got our members call this Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern. It'll be, what's today, 8 days? So it'll be 6 days before the Iowa caucus. 6 days before the Iowa caucus. Will you join us? Statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month, you can become a member. So, dairy is awful too. I am lactose intolerant, so I'm staying away from that. Try organic, local sourdough. That's good. You need the cuts, the processed meats. I hear that a lot. Eat fruits and vegetables. I'm working on it. Jordan has a loose definition of exercise. I fight justice every day. That's my exercise.
It doesn't burn calories and build muscle.
Ugh. Jordan, I went into a supermarket in New York, and they spoke broken English. I spoke better than them. Okay. Drop meat, dairy, and sugar. What do you want me to hide in a cave? PJ Coyne, 10 euros. Is Jimmy pals with you again? You know, PJ, I wish I could answer you. I haven't gotten a response from my friend Jimmy in a long time, so can't answer. I don't know if he's busy or just ignoring me, but no idea. I've sent him a few text messages, haven't gotten a response. So, Jordan, not all carbs are gluten. Sweet potatoes, quinoa are very healthy for you. Why, thank you. Victory, where's my workout video? It's funny you ask. Anat reminded me, and I was going to upload it for the show today, but for some reason I can't find it on my phone. So we got to figure out where we did shoot a couple workout videos, but I can't find it. So it's coming. Promise. I just got to find it for some reason. I think it's on your phone.
No, it's on your phone.
It's not. I looked.
I'll film it again.
Okay. So, I'm not criticizing Jimmy, by the way. You just asked, and I'm saying he hasn't gotten back to me, so I don't know. Maybe he's just busy. So, all right, folks. With that, I'm going to go eat. Love you. Be interviewing Nina Turner in the morning, and we're going to try to turn that around lickety-split for the live stream tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Keep signing up if you're not a member. We really, really hope you'll consider signing up. We got a whole bunch of different plans. You can become a member as low as $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month, or $179 annually. We love all of you. If you haven't yet joined our text alert list, we're now at 550 on our text list. Super, super helpful. It helps us get around the YouTube notification fuckery. We don't send a text for every live stream because they cost us money, significant money. But we did send a text for this, so all you got to do, go text right now, 474747. Type COUP. That'll get you on our list. Also, very important, we're trying to grow on the Instagram. Instagram.com/statuscoup. Join us on Instagram. And so we could be part of the cool kids. And there's a lot of progressives on Instagram, so we're trying to reach more people there. And Jordan does take probiotics. I do. So, with that, I bid you adieu. Remember, most people are not lacking compassion in the United Corporations of America. Most people have no earthly idea what is going on all around them. Peace out.